This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter collar. Whole squad been trained to go. Fence for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just a welcome, bro.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D. Good morning to my family and my Finlaws. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network, presented by Tailgreeter. Super excited to be hanging out with y'all today. I am your host, Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. You guys can follow me there on all the social media platforms, X, Twitter, whatever it is. Go follow me, okay? Make sure y'all do that. If you want to follow Miami Sports Music, you can do that everywhere too, at Miami Sports Music, except on Twitter or X, where we are at MIA Sports Music. Make sure you guys do that there as well. On the way in today, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Just hit it. All you got to do is take your finger and just tap the screen. Just tap it to the like button. It helps. It makes the algorithms on social media or on YouTube happen. Just hit the like button, okay? If you're not doing it, I don't know what you're doing with your life, okay? Hit the like button, man. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe. There are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you, and we would love for you to do that. When you do subscribe, make sure you hit the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime Miami Sports Music goes live and or Solo D drops a new track. Whatever it is, we want you to get notified. That way you have all the latest stuff here from the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network here on YouTube. If you want to sign up to become a member of the family, there are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. We'd love for you to sign up today to become part of the family in my Vin Diesel voice. Make sure you guys do that today. Sign up. There are plenty of seats waiting, and we'd love to get 2 new members on the channel today. So sign up, become a member. If you want to help the channel grow by donating, there's a few different ways you can do that. You can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ below the bottom of the chat, or you guys can also use Cash App or PayPal, which is $MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code that's right on your screen, or you can use MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code that is right on your screen. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsors of the show, ZSM Sports. ZSM Sports, the #1 place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard-to-find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today, okay? There are plenty of seats there. We want to make sure that you guys come on and become part of the family at ZSM, because if you guys follow them, they have the best cards, jerseys, balls, and hard-to-find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today. Less is more events. Lime tickets. You need tickets to anything across the country? Lime is the way to go. They have prices at less than the competition, allowing you to have more fun. So make sure you guys follow them at Less is More Events, and give them a call today at 202-930-3533. We would love for you to go to Lime and get your tickets to any event across the country. And last but certainly not least, Tailgreeter. Download the app today on your current Apple, same thing, or Android devices, because it's all about Team Android. Make sure you guys do that. And when you guys do that, make sure you guys look up the 3 events that we're having outside of Miami this year. We're having the Baltimore Beatdown in Baltimore. We're hosting the Saturday night meet and greet, game tickets, all-inclusive tailgate. We're having the FedEx Takeover in Washington, D.C. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And we're also going to have the Philly Finvasion, which is also going to be a great event. So make sure you guys check that out. All right. Got a big show lined up for you today. It's a big one. Why is that? Because for the first time ever, I'm having my boy Mike go officially one-on-one on the show. He's been on before in like panels and stuff, but my man Mike is going to come on and talk some Miami Dolphins season predictions with me. So without Cameron will be on later. Don't worry, Cameron will be here. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on the guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mike Ovila.
What's up, Stephen D?
What's up, baby?
Good morning.
Good morning, man. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm not used to doing shows this early, but this is it's going to be fun.
Neither am I. I'm not used to doing shows this early either. No, man. I am. Well, if you ask some of my fan base, they'll tell you that anyway. Let me ask you. First things first, man. How's everything going over at Dolphin Talk? And tell a little. For the people that don't know, tell them a little bit about Dolphin Talk.
So our website has been up for, I think this is year 11 or 12. I lost count, which is kind of sad. But we are your one-stop shop for all things Miami Dolphins. So you go to the website, dolphinstalk.com. We got the latest news, rumors. We got commentary, opinion pieces, podcasts, video. If something happened in the national media, we got video of it up. This whole Ryan Clark thing, before it blew up, we had the video up Monday night. I mean, I didn't think it'd explode like this, but we had the video up of all that stuff. So go to our website, follow us on social media, Twitter and stuff. And of course, the podcast, where we're on all the platforms, Apple Podcast, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube as well. Subscribe to our podcast at one of the platforms. So when we drop a new show, which will be every day in season, which is pretty much next week, we'll be starting with shows each and every day. It goes straight to your smart device. You're notified. But yeah, we are the one-stop shop for all your Miami Dolphins information. So go to the website, dolphinstalk.com.
All right, man. Let's dive right into it because I only have you for a limited amount of time this morning. I want to get right into the Miami Dolphins talk. What is your predictions for this upcoming season, and where do you see the team heading as far as your point of view? You've seen this team, highs and lows over the last 30 years, and we're in a different position right now. But I want to know exactly where you see the team currently, Mike.
Yeah, it should be a very good season. Here's the thing. We've now moved on from the rebuilding, like the climb. We've moved on from that rebuilding phase. So the expectations now have changed. I think, as a part of this fan base, some fans have to sort of shift their mindset and shift their expectations. Before it was like, we just got to make the playoffs. That was a quality season. Now it's like, well, we are going to be in the playoffs and we better win a playoff game. Because we have traded away too many draft picks. And we've given out too many $100 million contracts to fall short of that. Just making the playoffs is no longer the goal. And I think they're going to win probably around 11 games. I was looking at the schedule the other night, and doing what all fans do, a little win-loss thing, and of course with the caveat, which let's just live under the caveat if Tua stays healthy. Okay.
Yes.
Because if you don't say it, because if he's not healthy, we're going to be picking it. If he gets hurt week 2, if he gets hurt week 2 or 3, we're going to be picking the top 5 of the draft. That's just the way it is. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true.
Well, maybe Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I know. But that's a long ways away. We're August 28th. The end of April, that's a long, painful stretch. Nobody wants to go through that.
Yeah, no, and I don't think we are, by the way. I don't think we are, to be fair.
No, exactly. But, should he play? I have said, too, with the extra 17-game season, as soon as it's going to be 18, it's coming, it's not far away. Expecting any player, I don't care who you are, to play a full season might be a little bit asking too much. Give me 14 or 15 starts, and I'm happy at this point for any player, honestly, because I think there's going to be more injuries as they keep adding games. But should you stay healthy? Yeah, there's no reason why they can't win 11 games and at least win a playoff game. And I don't think that's unreasonable anymore as a fan of the Dolphins. And anything short of that, like missing the playoffs, going 7-10, going 8-9, having a bad year, then you got to start looking at the front office and your sideline with your staff and saying, we've given you everything. Mm-hmm. This is your handpicked team. This is your handpicked head coach. We're talking about the GM. Something right. And so, but I think we're going to win 11 games and hopefully, at least one playoff game. I can't set the bar any lower for him at this point. Just give me one playoff win. It's been 23 years since a playoff win. Come on. Not asking too much.
Hey, look, man, it's not all I want to see, but it's definitely something that
it's a start.
It must happen this year.
It must.
And
there's no excuses for it not to happen.
It can't be just one. It needs to be a couple.
That's the thing. I often see as we sort of go through the whole social media thing, and I see people, whether it's in the media or people who have blogs and websites or people with podcasts, preach to other fans of the Dolphins to have patience. There is no fan base.
There's none
that needs to be. The patience. We've had enough patience. Patience time is over. Dolphins fans don't need to be patient anymore. Dolphins fans have the right to be almost unreasonable, honestly. It's been 23 years.
Mike, I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you run a channel or anything, but Dolphins fans are unreasonable.
Good. They should be. Honestly, they should be. They should be. We've been quiet and patient long enough. We've gone through many rebuilds.
Yep.
We've had, this general manager's on his third head coach. And don't tell me Mike Tannenbaum, who the first one doesn't count. He's on his third head coach. Okay.
Yep.
Period.
I agree.
He's on his third head coach. On his watch as a GM. That's his name on the office door. It's his name on the business card. Dolphins fans have a right to be unreasonable now. Maybe they not 5-6 years ago, but now they do. And don't preach patience to a fan base that's seen nothing in 23 years.
There's plenty of things that Dolphin fans have seen, good and bad, mostly mediocre, over the last 20 years. And I'd say it like this. Dolphin fans have PTSD, right? And so here's a portion of you're on Dolphins Twitter, same way as I am. You're on social media. You run a channel. I think part of the reason why you see the fan base split as it is because there's a portion of the fan base that has severe PTSD of what the Dolphins have done to them. And they're not willing to allow themselves to believe in something that has not happened. And because it always seems like the rug is pulled out from under us in some way, shape, or form. We saw it over the last 10 days, or over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Jalen Ramsey situation. We go out and we get him all. Now he's hurt till, November or December. We almost thought we had that last Thursday. I lost my mind. I'm not going to lie.
Me too.
When the Teron Armstead thing happened, and I was like, well, hey, might as well just write the season off. And I can admit that I said that on Thursday because I was not in a great place. Thank God that wasn't the case. He comes to. I'm not 100% sold on the O-line. Why is it that a majority of Dolphin fans will not allow themselves to fall in love with this team until? I got to be honest. I even think if they go on a winning streak, they're still not going to believe it till they go deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there's two sets of fans of the Dolphins. There's, and I will qualify myself in the older group, the people who were around to see, I was alive. I actually watched Super Bowl 19, Joe Montana versus Dan Marino. I was old enough. I was only 7 or 8 or 9, whatever it was, but I was alive and I saw it. And I think fans more my age have seen the greatness, who lived through the Shula years, lived through the Marino years, saw the team, making the playoffs this time of year. Was like, yeah, we're going to be in the playoffs. Who are we going to play in that? It was like a foregone conclusion.
Yep.
So I think fans our age kind of hold higher expectations and be like, okay, now we're heading into like a season like this. We're good. Let's go. Let's go. Now we're back to the old days. With a younger fan base, the guys, 30, even 35 and under, kind of. They've never experienced this in their lives. They've only had the pain. They've only had the losing. They've only had the hurt. So I think for them, it's a little tougher to even grasp that we might be good because they've never seen it. There's a fluky season in 08. There's a little fluky season in 16. Outside of that, nothing. It's been dead. So I think there's two different fan bases. And I remember last year when we were 9-3 heading into November, I think it was, or something like that. Or we were 9-3 at some point. I forget the exact date. And then the losses started to mount up.
Yep.
And by the end, yeah. And then we're going into the final game where we have to win to make the playoffs. And I did a rant on my show where I'm like, you know what? And I know there's injuries and there's circumstances, but fans of the Dolphins, for all these years, through all the losing, show up every stinking week. Mm-hmm. They go to Hard Rock Stadium. Every game might not be a sell, but it's damn close. And we show up every stinking week. And it seems like every year it's something else that's a swift kick to the nuts. Let's just say it nicely. And it's like fans of the Dolphins have done their part. They show up. They put out the money. They buy the jerseys. They buy the hat. They'll go to Canton and spend their summer weekend for Zach Thomas. They've done their part. There comes a point where, as a fan who's put out all this time and money, to look at the organization and say, when are you going to do your part? When are you just going to put like one winning product on the field? So that's why I say when they say fans of Dolphins shouldn't be patient, fans of Dolphins have been more than enough patience. Okay. And with some people in, someone like a Chris Greer and stuff, been patient long enough, buddy. You've been here 23 years in some capacity. Let's have some results. He's got no results on his resume. None.
That last part about putting a winning team onto the field, you say what you want about Stephen Ross, and I've been very critical of Stephen Ross since his.
I have no problem with Ross. He's good. Yeah.
I have to admit, I've been very critical of him. The one thing I can't argue with is the man writes checks, right?
Yep.
Like he does. But I also know that he has not given us what he's promised us since he's taken over the team. And
he's too loyal to a fault.
too loyal to a fault is probably a great thing to say. But that can be a detriment to your team if not used correctly, and it has been. Have the Dolphins done everything done everything that they can to put a winner in front of our eyes this year? Do you think they've done every single thing in their power? I don't think so, but I want to know.
With the exception of one thing, I really can't complain about this offseason because, they got a more capable number 2 quarterback. And no team is going to have like 2 stud quarterbacks or 2 star quarterbacks. Mike White, should he be healthy, is fine. That's fine. So they upgraded there. They let a tight end walk who wasn't a fit for the scheme, and they brought in guys who were more blockers, who were more scheme fits, so they did enough there. At offensive lines in one area, so I'm going to put that on pause. We'll go back. On the other side of the ball, they knew they were thin at corner. I mind they still have a bunch of injuries. It happens, I guess. But they brought in some new corners. They made a big trade for Ramsey to have a number 2 lockdown, so the thought process is there, even though he got hurt. What are you going to do? Vic Fangio's obviously an upgrade there. They have touched on everything. If you look what they did this offseason, it goes to show you that last year they think if they didn't have Josh Boyer calling plays on defense, and if they had a stronger number 2 quarterback, that they were fine. Because on offense, really, they did nothing. Now, my one fault, I would assign at least one quality offensive lineman.
Yep.
Isaiah Wynn, Feeney, to me,
those are all
not
gambles.
serious people. They're not serious people.
They're low risk, high reward guys, and you need.
I don't even know how much of a reward you're getting from either of them, honestly, because Isaiah Wynn was the first round bust with the Patriots
on the O line, Mike.
Well, that's because the guy in front of him is just objectively just horrible. Yeah. I mean, it's like
you're not wrong.
I hope he can beat him out. Because it's like the guy in front of him just can't play in this league. And I don't say it to be mean or pile on or anything, but he can't play. I mean, I don't know what else to say. He doesn't belong in the NFL. So I hope Isaiah Wynn can beat him out. Or if not him, Lester Cotton or whoever else. Aside from the offensive line, which I would have brought in at least one vet, either right tackle or guard, they didn't. And it's far too late now because nobody's going to part with any quality offensive lineman. Every team has offensive line issues to an extent. And if you have one who can play, you ain't getting rid of them, not even for draft picks. So nobody's parting with one. But that's the only area I wish they did a little more. Everything else, I can't complain with what they did. I mean, kind of ground balls, not hard to screw up, really, from a roster construction standpoint. Now, how he handled Christian Wilkins and how this is playing out blows my mind still, but whatever.
Do you ultimately think, Mike, that I've watched you, I've listened to you over the years. I feel like you think like me. Great teams are great because of how their trenches are. Offense and
absolutely.
Side. You win Super Bowls because of what's in the trenches. And I could tell you, for the last decade, 9 offensive line coaches out of 10 years, Bullygate, a offensive line coach who was doing drugs with team gear on, all of it. It is absolutely
mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. And
it's still even a question all these years later.
I know. Even through the Tannehill years, right? The Tannehill years, and even now, that is still something they've never addressed. And I can say, great, I love Tyreek Hill. Yes, I love Tyreek, and I love everything that they've done. And Mike McDaniel brought us a top 10 offense, the best this offense has looked since the early 90s. But you still have not gone in depth into making sure this trench is going to be top notch on the offensive side of the ball. And that's what makes me not fully trust it 100%.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, you're right. I think he's tried. He's just failed. When you use pick number 18 on Austin Jackson, you expect at least a contributor. He doesn't need to be all pro. He doesn't even need to be a Pro Bowler. He needs to be able to contribute to some level. And we're going into year 4, and he's never contributed. Now, I know everyone's saying he looks great. He lost a bunch of weight. That's great. But now we use an 18th pick of the draft for a guy who might be good 1 year of his whole contract. And I know he was hurt last year, but that's part of it too. That counts. So that's a question mark. Trading a 3rd-round pick to move up 8 spots to take Liam Eichenberg, there's no way to spin it. Okay, that's just, it didn't work out. And even Robert Hunt, who I think fans of the Dolphins overrate only because the people around him are so bad. if Robert Hunt just walks on the field and he doesn't trip over his own 2 feet, it's a success. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. He's good, but he's not as good as some fans sort of pump him up to be. And he was drafted to be the right tackle to protect his blind side.
Yep.
That didn't pan out. We moved him to right guard. So it's like he tried. It just didn't work out.
It's always a swing and a miss for him with that.
And then you got to go out there and overpay someone like Armstead, who's injury prone, and you know that. And guess what? Injury prone guys get injured. Shocking. So that's where it's a ripple effect. Okay. And when you miss on Jackson, you miss on Liam Eichenberg, and you're on plan B with Hunt, well, now you got to go out there and pay a Connor Williams. Then you got to go out there and pay an Armstead, because no team needs this much capital invested in their offensive line. But Miami, is paying 2 guys pretty good money through free agency, and the other 3 that they want to play were picked either in round 1 or the top of round 2. And when
they're not working, and they're not all panning out.
And they're not panning out. So, and one's hurt possibly heading into the year. So it's like, how much money can you invest in one position? Sometimes you just got to get it right. You just got to get it right. You can't keep using first-round picks on the same position.
Now, let's talk about what every Dolphin fan's been talking about for the last 48 hours. Hell, since the season has started, the running back situation. Can you mask a mediocre to bad offensive line with a great run game?
Yes.
And is Jonathan Taylor the answer for the Dolphins?
Yes. If you go back to the Ricky Williams years, the 2 years before he went little woohoo and walked away, their offensive line was not a who's who of great blockers. Ricky Williams made it look great. Now, Jonathan Taylor has a different style than Ricky Williams. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare the 2 players, but a great running back can mask an offensive line that might be a little bit weak. Also, I think this Miami Dolphins offensive line, however it shakes out, is much better at run blocking than pass blocking. So I think you're kind of playing to a little bit of a strength there if you can get a running back like Jonathan Taylor. And I did a show last night with 305 Sports, babe, Ashley. And I said, and I admitted I am a flip-flopper and total phony on this issue, because my head's telling me do not trade. Don't give up like a pick in round 2 and maybe a pick in round 3 later on or so. Whatever it takes to get this guy. Then you have to pay him 8, 9, 10 million, whatever it costs. My head's telling me don't do it. But my heart's telling me, screw it. I'm sick of losing. I want to see this team win. This year is just as good as any. Go for it. So I'm a total phony and I'm total flip-flopper. I admit it. But I am all for getting Jonathan Taylor at this point, because I cannot, because, you hear the people, just wait till next year's lot of running backs who are going to be free agent. I don't want to punt on this year in August. And it's not that we're punting. Let's just throw the cherry on top of the sundae and go for it. And we'll worry about 2024 and 2024. We'll worry about the salary cap for 2025 and 2025. Yep. I can't worry about stuff 12 months out. I know the general manager does have to do that, and I am sympathetic to that, and I get it. But this is the fan side of me. We have a window
to win a Super Bowl this year.
This is the fan side of me saying, we'll worry about that stuff then. I can't worry. You can't, just go get the guy. Let's put as many good players on the field together, and let's go for it. Let's just go for it at this point. At some point, I think fans, because of social media and because of the shows, and there's so many podcasts and so many former GMs and former scouts have like outlets, they have sort of brainwashed fans into thinking, salary cap management, this, that, and there comes a certain point where just freaking win. It's like, I don't need to hear scouting reports or here's how you manage a cap. Yes, it's important. Nobody's saying it's not. But at a certain point, it's like, get as many good players as you can and just win. And I think that's where Miami's at this point. If they got to trade a second, because I know next year they only have a pick in round 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. The pick in round 3, they lost for tampering. The pick in round 4 is part of the Tyreek Hill trade. I get. So if you trade a pick in round 2, then you only have picks in rounds 1, 5, 6, 7, which is not great. But okay, whatever. So trade a pick this year in round 2, then 2025, pick in round 3 or 4. And we want to toss in the players a sweetener, go for it. But I'm all for it. What the hell we got to lose? We haven't won anyways. You might as well go for it.
Do you think so there have been plenty of rumors and links to the Miami Dolphins and running backs around the NFL. In the last 12 hours, it was released that the Dolphins reached out to the Las Vegas Raiders about Josh Jacobs, who said, no, we're not interested in trading him, although he hasn't signed his tender and he's still holding out. Who knows what's going to happen there? Apparently, the Dolphins had contacted the New York Giants at the beginning of the offseason and about Saquon Barkley.
You had Swift with the Lions.
Swift with the Lions. And obviously they were linked to Dalvin for 6 to 8 weeks, during that whole ordeal, and he ended up signing with the New York Jets. I've always said that, teams will show you their true colors by what they do. The Dolphins, I truly believe, love Devon Achane. I think that they think he's going to be a stud. I think they have a lot of high upside for him, and there's a lot to like about the kid, and they think he can be somebody in this league. But I also understand, I've heard the Dolphins linked to every single running back in the NFL this offseason, it sounds like. Is this legit? Do you think that the Dolphins are actively talking to the Colts about Jonathan Taylor?
Here's why.
Go ahead.
I don't think the thing with Achane has anything to do with it, because they contacted Swift, or they contacted the Lions about Swift the morning after they took Achane in the draft. And then everything with Cook, even though it was like kind of a low ball offer, was after they took Achane. Here's the thing with Achane coming in this league. I love Achane. We all love Achane. We think he's going to be a special player. What did everyone say? He's undersized. He's small. He's not in every down back. We're August 24th. He's already hurt. I mean, he's not in every down back. So we like him, but you got to use him the right way. You can't run him too much because he's small. It's what it is. And it's okay, but you can't overuse him. And I think you can't depend on a rookie number one too much than a smaller rookie in a role. Now, I like Raheem Mostert. Don't get me wrong. Here's the deal. He's never played in his entire career back-to-back seasons of double-digit games. Last year, he played double-digit games. So for a running back who's over the age of 30, expecting history not to be on your side, he will give you back-to-back seasons of 10 or more games. History's not on your side. Now, he might not, and all of us hope he does. So that's why I'm okay looking into another running back. And now I think Jonathan Taylor's probably the last one. If I had to guess, actually, I think if they trade for him, it won't be now, maybe closer to October in the trade deadline. Let's see how the first 6 weeks go. If they're 5-1, if they're 4-2, this is good years. Let's go get them then, because the Colts might really be motivated to trade them then if their season starts off slow, which I think it will. So I think
they're motivated to trade him now. That's why they gave him permission to seek.
I think they're motivated to trade him now if they get the right deal. But they also said if he can't get a trade by Tuesday, then everything's off. I hope they get him now because I want him week 1. But if not, maybe in October they swing back to the Colts and see if they can get him then. Either way, I'm okay with it because I think, like I said, Jonathan Taylor makes the Miami Dolphins a better team on the field, and some things you just don't have to overthink. Don't worry about the salary cap. Don't worry about the draft. You can figure that stuff out later. You can't worry about that on August 24th when you're trying to put together the perfect team or a team to win playoff games and make a run for a Super Bowl. So I'm okay with it. I think the interest is real. From all the reports, they've already sent in an offer to the Colts. Colts are probably going to send back a counter because why wouldn't you? You want to try to get a little more if you can. So we'll see how this plays out here in the next few days. But yeah, I think they realize their running back room, it's good, and it might even be good enough. But if you get a chance to add a special 24-year-old running back who just 2 years ago at 1,800, he had 18 touchdowns, I think it was, and what he ran for 1,800 yards or something like that, whatever it was. Who's going to say no to that?
I agree. All right, I only got you for another couple minutes. I have one last question for you. The NFL in years past did cut down days staggered. So you'd go from 90 to 85 to 80, so on and so forth, right? This year, the NFL decided to do it entirely differently. There's no cut down days. On Tuesday, there will be over 1,100 players cut where teams got to go from 90 to 53. What is your take about the NFL going? Well, there's going to be over 1,100 players cut at one time. It's going to be pandemonium on Tuesday, in my opinion. And what does it mean for somebody like Chris Grier? Because my opinion is he's saving the last 2 or 3 spots to see who gets cut around the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think most teams are. And they might have did this last year, too. I don't remember if this is the first year or if this is the second year they did. But either way, I like this way better because, number one, I think for players, it's good to be in one spot and entire camp to put your whole resume on tape in the preseason games and stuff. So if you do get cut, you can shop that around other teams. If you get cut mid-August and you go sign with a team late August and you're cut again, it's like, well, I was here for a couple of weeks. I was there for a couple of weeks. This gives the player a full off season, 3 preseason games with one team that they can shop that tape to other teams and be like, look, I didn't fit there. I might fit with you. Look at what I did. So I think from a player's perspective, it's good. From a roster construction standpoint, from a general manager, I also think it's good because now you're having more time with some of those guys who you have to let go to judge if you want them on your practice squad or not, because you have more time with them under your roof. So I think from each side, I actually like this. Now, I do think they're going to put in a few claims here, and I think the areas they put in for are going to be number one, tight end. I think tight ends, if they can get someone a little bit better than what they got, who's primarily a blocker first and foremost for sure. But I think tight end's a spot. I think safety's another spot. They're hurting right now in the secondary. And when I had on Omar Kelly on Monday, we spoke about this, and I said, what has you more concerned, cornerback depth or safety depth? And we spoke for 10 minutes, and I don't know if we have an answer, but to me, safety might be more concerning. So safety's going to be one, and also nose tackle. Everyone likes the kid from USC, but I don't know if they want him on the active roster now. They might want to sneak him to the practice squad. So I think those are the three areas to keep an eye on for sure. And they're going to put in some claims, I think, and probably for those three. And if there is an offensive lineman out there that's worth putting in a claim for, I'm sure they will. Like I said, finding a quality offensive lineman is almost like trying to find a quality quarterback. Once teams get them, they don't want to let them go. And you're starting to see that now too with the contracts. Teams paying offensive linemen so much money because they're so tough to get and they're so tough to find quality ones, especially at the tackle spots, especially at tackle.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I appreciate your time today, man. I love having you on. I wish I could have you on more, and I hope to do it this year. Hope we can.
We're going to do this more for sure. Yeah.
And I love coming on your show last week, man. It was so much fun.
That was great.
And you're so good at what you do, and Dolphins Talk is a staple of this community. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
I love you, Stephen D. Anytime you need me, let me know. And yes, we will do more joint shows on your channel, my channel this year for sure. Hook up and talk about Dolphins, and hopefully it's a successful season. Because like I said, we've all been patient far too long.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike from Dolphins Talk. Mike, we'll see you again. Have a good day, man.
Have a good one, man. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. It is Throwback Thursday, which means I have a co-host. So let me bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth. Well, I don't know if I want to say all that. I don't think he's a myth. He is a man. He's a man that likes Michael Jordan and thinks he's better than LeBron. We know he's wrong about that. He's probably wrong about a lot more things. Ladies and gentlemen, Cameron954 from East32 Dolphins Tailgates.
Good morning, Stephen D.
What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Clock Blockers crew. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right.
Just chilling.
Oh, busy morning. You know how it is around here.
I do. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Coach Mike McDaniel is doing his press conference. Do you want to stop in? Do you want to
let's do it.
Hop into it? All right, let's hop into it, man. Mike McDaniel is currently live with the media. We're going to start from the beginning. It's about 3 minutes ago for this. So we're going to hop right into it. And Cameron and I, if you want to stop and discuss something that he says, Cameron, just say, hey, hit pause, and we'll do that, okay?
Sure, man. Good morning, Canes, Dolphins 89.
More from you, Barry, because that your 2-for-1ers are usually like you attempt to weave them together. This one, you're just like, yeah, these are two. Okay. So Sealer, I think if you were really locked in and noticing, which I know you were, he was going back and forth throughout team drills, is because he was dealing with something that was nagging him, that it didn't hurt him to continue, but that was painful. So it's not anything serious. However, for his individual experience, pain is not always awesome. So he'll be day to day, but nothing to worry about. Tyreek was, one of those classic coach to player protection things that had to do with where we were in training camp. Really, what he did the day before. He really took it upon himself to dictate the terms of the energy, and he did that going full tilt. I think he had the highest sprint yardage and was the fastest player that day. And so I really liked where he was at. Didn't want him to take a step back. So that's kind of my role in that. So you should see him today, and if I've seen him today, you'll see him stop playing football at some point, or he might play the whole practice. I'm just connected with each individual for that very reason. Okay. So Mike White is still in the protocol, and whether he I'm no genie. I don't have a crystal ball, but I feel like it would be promising for him to clear protocol. But regardless, I don't. You're not going to see him on Saturday.
And so James Blackman, will he play on Saturday? And do you have an appreciation for someone in his situation where he's got the opportunity to put something on film, undrafted rookie, called back?
Yeah, I would say, I'm expecting him to get some snaps, and that's why I don't. I like preseason games for a multitude of reasons. They are cumbersome, and in terms of it's an extension of the season, but like, what an opportunity for a guy that deserves it. All he's done is really put his best foot forward, and that's a tough job sometimes when your literal job is to learn, and not as much through action as you don't get into playing football so that you can go to meetings, and sometimes that's his role. Sometimes he's his the most burn he gets in practice is one-on-one. Sometimes he takes some team reps. All of that, I think, him and his teammates really have a strong appreciation of the earned right that, is one of the reasons I appreciate the preseason guys get opportunities to do something they've really worked at their craft, or they've really worked on for and committed to for their lives. So I'm fired up for him. I think his teammates are too. He's a guy that does things the right way, and is always prepared for his opportunities, regardless of how many there are.
Like, instead of asking 2 for 1, could I ask a question or follow-up?
Sure. At least you were entering into the situation with honesty. Just kidding. No, you didn't lie. It was. I mean, it was. Let's just call a spade a spade. It was just, you've had less lazy 2 for 1ers. I'll just get buried. Do a great job. Okay, so go ahead.
There have been multiple reports that the Dolphins have made a trade offer to the Colts for Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, really?
Are those reports accurate?
I mean, okay, so I feel
He's not
like
going to talk about another player who's on another roster.
Here's the thing with a
good way to get in trouble
with reports. First of all, I think my 2.5-year-old daughter just tweeted a report. Credence to that. I think as far as that goes, it seems like that every player in the National Football League is coming to the Dolphins, because I feel like that's kind of on trend. So whatever that is, I've said this before. I'm not going to speak about other players. And then, how many times do I have to explain, like, Chris Greer's job is to work. He works at it a lot, and keeps me abreast when they're real. Generally, when things are real, I don't have questions about them. There's been a kind of a consistent pattern where we've talked about all sorts of players. So reports, whatever, that's kind of the it seems like the noise that is around the business. However, like, let's just say I would be doing a terrible job as a head coach. I got 90 players that collection of players, this will be the last practice that they have together in its entirety. That's a journey that starts, and for players, being in shape and whatever, but as a team, April 17th, this is the 45th time that we've had something on the field together, and this is the last one. And I'm very much just concerned about all those guys, and anything less if I'm worried about whatever.
So the answer here,
come
Mike,
to my
is
desk
no.
yet.
You haven't said anything about.
I think that's an opportunity
Taylor.
cost that I'm not willing to pay for all those players that I'm excited.
Yeah,
to
but
coach today.
his job is
practice
to not
for a
give
lot
you
of guys,
information
and,
because
He
he's
does a good job
required.
at it
is
by
an
giving us a lot of words.
to
Well,
get
that's what I'm
better,
saying.
not
He's
worse.
required to be
And
up there
there's only
and
one
address the
direction.
press.
It's either A or B,
But
better or worse. So
on the other hand, he's not
yeah,
supposed to give you the information that
hopefully
the juicy
my daughter
tidbits that
stops
we're all
tweeting.
looking for.
The follow-up
So he
I
does a
have
great
is,
job of
trend-wise in National
him
Football
and Han and stammering up there and
valuing the running
giving you
back. Seems like
quirky
this
quotes.
organization deeply values the running back position. You talk
That's
about
all
that
it is.
philosophy.
It's a sideshow.
Yeah, let's just go simple math. And it's a very physical game. There's let's say on an average season with 17 games
That's
now.
pretty good level 2 dude.
Let's say 1,200. You have like 1,200
that
plays on
picture
each
is the
side of
best
the ball.
noobs.
And how many of those plays are the running backs touching it?
I mean, that's fantastic.
It's
that is
valuable,
art.
Position
Noob, send
you
that
have
to me in a
have depth
DM
at.
because I'll make sure
And,
it's like that for
I
day
think that's
one.
one of the reasons. Think of it this way: you've gone to practices and you've seen 2 games, and pick a game, and you've seen a running back make plays. A running back.
And Manoa brings up a good point. Like Flores did the same thing, but he just did it without any character or personality,
the
right?
competition that we have in that
You're
room.
just like, look you stone cold in the face and
that's
no,
why I've always,
yes, maybe.
Valued the position.
And they were
It's
boring
a
as hell. At least
portion of your
this is a different kind of
your
boring.
touches, and you understand that in that process,
it's an entertaining boring.
Is it
that
though?
you have to have,
but is it though?
A good solid group for the.
It's gotten a little tiring,
really, for the team and for your offense for the whole year. So I think it's a, and
it is like you just took a big bong ripper,
really, and
got up there on stage
in the
after
run game.
hitting the bong.
His best friend is the comedian Dan Soder, who's also on Billions.
I think it may today. I think it might be a large orange jersey for a big human being whose name is Raekwon Davis. Oh, shit.
See? He's entertaining boring.
Swear jar, Mike.
I made a big point in the team meeting today and showed a clip of individual from yesterday, and then we were talking as coaches. It kind of triggered my mind a rep of the same drill back in last OTAs, so 2022 OTAs, and I mean it kind of represents one of the main focuses of and appreciations of being a coach in this great game, and something that you really hope to see everyone go through, which was a complete and utter transformation in mind and body. His attention to detail, he's in the best shape of his life by far, and you can see it with his play. And there's he's adding different tools to his game, and he's always been a highly. I mean, he's always had a lot of love from the locker room. So you can feel that as a coach, and you can feel his teammates really appreciate where he's at, what he's done to control what he can control, and the Miami Dolphins are better for it. So that's a big and deserving jersey.
Mike, you told us about the playing status of Mike White and Jimmy Blackman, so I have to ask about when the plans for whether he plays with that Saturday.
Well, the really, by and large, things always fluctuate depending on variables that are both with play and with personnel around players. And my plan has been, in the back of my mind, the starting point was more than a series, less than a half for all the starters. Now, that is dependent upon today's practice, and overall, you're just trying to prepare guys for the regular season. I had in the back of my mind, if all things were even, two would play on Saturday, but that's something that I'll revisit with the coaches after we've completed this practice, to kind of solidify that. But he's been prepared to all week. I told him that after the last game, and so he's prepared as though he is playing, and we'll revisit that after today's practice.
Coach, did Jacksonville's strategy affect that with Doug Peterson saying
whoever the girl is has been cut off 2 times?
No, unless Jacksonville's box scores during the season affect our box scores, which I don't think we can borrow points or subtract points so. No, it doesn't really. I think you have to. An important part of this job is to adjust to your particular team and do what your team needs. I would. I'm sure that Doug Peterson isn't that concerned with whether we are or aren't playing our starters. I think that's something that independently you just do what's right for each individual and unit, which was what we'll do.
Coach, yesterday, Tua came to his own defense in regards to being criticized about his physique. Wanted to know if you have any comment on that, seeing that you see him every day, you've seen the work he's put in his off season.
Oh, God, I was starting to get annoyed. I was hoping for the opportunity to talk about, if I understand your question correctly, how Tua's off season's been. And you know what? I can say hard facts that I've seen with my own eyes, and it's been it's top 5 on the team in terms of, we've had a lot of guys really step their game up, and you want to talk about somebody that's committed to doing what he's doing for the right reasons. He was already invested before this year, but then taking a bunch of things that have happened, he really put an onus on controlling what he could control. So you want to talk about every metric that Dave Paloka and his strength staff really track, which is pretty much everything. I mean, to the degree of blinks, every metric of strength that is measured, he's shattered his previous highs, and in some instances he's almost twice as strong with things, and that's been a daily commitment that he hasn't wavered from. He's taken his nutrition to another level. He's taken his commitment to what he's trying to do, and really, thought outside the box and really, really worked at it. So I couldn't be happier with the work that he's put in, and that what I've factually viewed from my own eyes. It's basically you're happy for guys as a coach when you can see in the present that down the road they're going to have no regrets, meaning
no regrets.
The results are what the results are, but you know that without any shade of gray that you've put your best foot forward, and he really has, and I think his teammates would
Put
agree.
a poll in the chat for y'all. All 105 of y'all go look in the chat. Put a poll there.
I wanted to ask you about the
whoa.
Late. I got here late.
Oh,
apologies.
Omar Kelly messing up.
The composition of the 53-man roster when you're in those meetings, hammering that stuff out. I mean, Fangio said, Vic, I don't know how you refer to him, that it's easy to do the 1 through 40. It's the 8 to 13 open spots left that are pretty much the challenging. What goes into your mind and factor when you're putting together that back end of the roster versus practice squad?
Well, it's an ironic situation, to tell you the truth, because like good problems to have are that much more complex, and the better your competition and your roster depth is, especially with the people that we've assembled and the coaching staff in the front office, like we don't take it lightly, and the competition is real. So you have to factor in a ton of things that really get challenging. And from my experience, just in the NFL, this is one of the most high intense, competitive across the board situations that I can remember. So in times like that, when
Cruz,
there
people
is
were telling me
a
in the chat
plethora of
that I should
talent,
end it.
and you have
Not that I don't necessarily
minimal
want to
distinction
feel
between
one way or
certain
another,
guys, like
Cruz. Don't
what
call me
Vic's
out,
alluding
Cruz.
to. You really have to let the whole process play out. You have to fight your urge to try to, in your mind, figure out who those people are. The competition from, however you rank them from, really 40 to 90. It's a real cool representation of what you want the competition to be like on your roster. However, it makes it that much more difficult. So you have to factor in a ton of things, and a position's gain is another position's loss, and that balancing act makes it incredibly difficult. And we have multiple position groups where you could go heavy on this team. So which position groups are those? Which individuals are those? The only thing you can do is allow everyone to get their full opportunity, communicate actively, but let all the information lay out, because in the game of football, who knows what can happen today, which is why it's so exciting that you guys are going to be at practice. It's the last one, and we're hoping for it to be a good one.
My bigger picture question: when you come from a run game background in the way that you did, two speedy receivers like you did, how did you go about meshing together your personnel and scheme? And a year later, do you view that differently?
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of from my vantage point and our vantage point here. Like I think it's up to coaches to adapt to their players on that given team, and I think it's important to be versatile. And thankfully, I've had that rep across my career. Multiple, it's one of the positives about only lasting places for like 3 years and then get booted out, is you get a lot of reps at different players, and your job is to put forth the best offense you can. So I think we'll always adapt to our personnel and really what defenses are doing. So I think that will forever change. I think it's hilarious when people talk about the Dolphins offense as one stagnant entity that will always be evolving depending on all the different variables. And, I think there's things that we did pretty well last year, and there's things that we didn't do as well as we'd like. So we've tried to focus on getting better at those things while maintaining, the things that we're good at. And then, you're just trying to attack defenses where they're vulnerable. They kind of have a hand in that by the hand they play. And so you have to be able to take advantage of their overplay to one particular phase or the other. So it'll always be changing. And what our offense is, I'll tell you tomorrow.
All righty. So look at Daniel. Oh, you saw Daniel back at Daniel's head. What did we learn from that press conference? Anything?
We learned that Omar is late and can't set a alarm clock.
Yep.
We learned that Raekwon Davis is wearing
the orange jersey. We learned that Zach Seiler must have like a broken toenail or hemorrhoids or something. We know that Mike McDaniel's 2-year-old creates tweets and social media as well. And according to Noob, started the Taylor rumors. Yep. Riveting stuff. Just riveting. All right. I got to change subjects a little bit. So I noticed during the press conference that he did discuss his offseason workout. And obviously this all stemmed from Ryan Clark, former NFL football player, current ESPN analyst, current podcast host of The Pivot. Great podcast, by the way, with our boy Channing Crowder. And so Ryan Clark, in the last 15 minutes, released this 2.5-minute video on social media discussing what happened. So we're just going to play it real quick.
Yesterday, Tua Tagovailoa had to answer questions about something I said on Monday, something that I truly just felt like was a joke to me, that I've realized as the week has gone on, if this man has to answer questions about it, if so many Miami Dolphins fans are offended by it, then people ain't taking it as a joke. So let me be very clear. If I've offended you, Tua, if I've hurt you, if I've disrespected you, if anybody that supports and loves you feels some sort of way because of what I said, I truly apologize. I had 2 priorities when I started this job. Number 1, respect the players and the executives and the coaches that make this game run. Number 2, it was earn the respect of those very same people, and more importantly, keep it. Anything contrary to that, then I got to check myself. Now, don't get me wrong, my ego was involved. When Tua was asked about how he felt about these comments, and he said, keep my name out your mouth, yeah, my first thought is, or what? Or he says he's scrappy, I think to myself, man, I fed my family on violence. I ain't tripping on that. But that's the pride that doesn't enable me to see what this dude's going through. The constant criticisms, the constant scrutiny, constantly being questioned, feeling the stress of always having to prove yourself, just to show people you can be available. And then you work throughout the entire offseason, which I talked to his trainer and said, that man was in there 3 times a day to build himself up to be healthy. And you got to hear a comment like this. So I get it. I get it because I do want to respect Tua Tagovailoa. I get it because I want his respect too. So to the Miami Dolphins, to head coach Mike McDaniel, who I have a ton of respect for, but most of all, to Tua Tagovailoa and his family, I deeply apologize. I've reached out. I hope to talk to you soon, brother. But just know, I wasn't questioning the way you work. I wasn't questioning how much it mattered to you. It was what I can consider now a bad joke. But for me, it's been a lesson. I'll be better. Thank you.
Well,
what's so funny?
So I don't know where to start and begin with this. Okay. Number one, do I like his comments that he made? No, I thought it was ridiculous. Okay. But to be fair, I am in no way, shape, or form on Ryan Clark's level when it comes to media and hosting and podcasting and all this. I hope to be there one day, but I'm not now. But I do a show every single day. And when you do a show every single day, and in Ryan's case, multiple days, right? Your job is, and I know what he said, but your job is to be entertaining, give your opinion of what you feel, and keep your audience engaged. And when you are saying sometimes the same thing over and over and over again every single day, you have to find new ways to be inspiring, find new ways, or inspiring is probably not the right word, but find new ways to be, entertaining and have people want to listen to you over and over again. And you do a show every single day and sometimes multiple shows a day, you're going to eventually say something that's going to offend somebody, or a joke that is meant to be a joke that doesn't come out quite the way you had hoped, or doesn't hit the way you quite hoped it would hit. And I can feel both sides to this. I don't like what he said as a Dolphins fan, as a Tua fan, but I also can see it from Ryan's point of view that, hey man, look, I was trying to say a joke, it didn't hit, people were offended by it, and I'm really sorry about it. Now, as I'm listening to this, I'm reading the chat. And part of what I see in the chat here is, oh my God, this is embarrassing. If Tua needs this, then he's being a punk.
Needs what?
Tua didn't ask for this apology. Ryan gave it on his own free will. Let's just throw that out there. Tua never asked for an apology. He didn't need one, didn't want one, whatever. Ryan looked in the mirror and said, you know what? I think I'm wrong here. And I think I need to apologize for what I said. So I got to give Ryan Clark his props to, I can tell you right now, Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, I've never seen them get up here and be this humble and apologize. I've seen Skip try to apologize on his channel.
None of them are players.
Exactly.
So
I get that too, right? And so there's also a code as a former player that, hey man, you know how difficult this is. You know the critique that we get on a daily basis. I don't hate Ryan Clark. I enjoy his content. I love the pivot. I think it's one of the best podcasts out there. But as far as what he said, he made a mistake and he owned up to it, and it didn't hit the way he wanted to. And it was never his intention to do that in the first place. So for me, I don't think his job was on the line, flip side fishing. I don't think that was in any, Ryan Clark's not, in my opinion, hearing Ryan Clark for the last 3 years on ESPN and the last couple of years on the pivot, he's not going to say nothing he doesn't mean. Ryan Clark is very intentional about every word that he says. And it's not necessarily 100% calculated. It comes from a place of genuine remorse. I think that's what that sounded like to me, in my opinion. He even said, look, I tried to get in touch with you. I couldn't. I'm making this video. So for me, I don't think that either side's soft. I like the salty Tua that I saw. I think a lot of us love the salty Tua side that we saw as fans. And I also love that Ryan Clark said, hey, man, I shouldn't have said what I said. But I also get, you do a show every single day. You do the pivot. You do ESPN. You do First Take. You do, Monday Night Countdown and football and NFL Live. He does multiple shows. He says the same things 50 million times over. So sometimes you try to find new ways to be entertaining or say something different or just make a joke. And it just didn't hit. That's all. And that's what this is here. I'm not mad at either side. I appreciate what Ryan's apology was there. I don't know how you think about it or how you view it.
Well, I mean, again, just like anything else, man, I think there was context to the whole conversation. And if you watch the whole segment, Ryan Clark was effusive about Tua and how excited he was about the upcoming season as long as he can stay healthy. And, there was other comments made on the panel about how he looks thicker and bigger. And Ryan Clark, made the analogy with, a stripper's ass at Onyx up, downstairs in Atlanta. So it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek, funny, not so funny in retrospect comment. And that's what Ryan Clark addressed in, the apology that he just put out. And because, if he was adhering to his two tenets that once he got into this job, as he spoke of, he'd realize in retrospect that maybe it could be viewed as a personal attack on someone's physical appearance, which, in 2023, you can't do, number one. And number two, it's the league code. You don't talk about another player in that regard. It had nothing to do with his play on the field. He was talking about his fucking, as my daughter would put it, level 2 yacht. That's what they call that. That's what they call the poop shooter nowadays. The level 2 yacht.
Wow.
But anyway, my point is that Ryan issued his apology. I think Tua had every right to take offense to somebody talking about his personal appearance, especially when that person is somebody from the league and has a very powerful voice in the pivot and is on ESPN now. And secondly, nobody's going to give a shit after Saturday after the Jacksonville game. So who cares?
100%. I think in the scheme of things, we're getting towards the last week of preseason and people are a little antsy and everything's overanalyzed and overlooked. But
Noob just cracks me up.
Noob is great. I do love him.
What?
Look, and
I'll have to change my handle.
I do have to call out some of you fans in the chat for saying that Tua is being too sensitive. No, Tua didn't like what he said. And then
he said something about it, so good for him.
And he said something about it. You know how many times players are said something about that they don't like, that they say something through back channels talking about. But no, he said it publicly.
So let's talk about the specific comment about his thickness in the lower half and equating it to a stripper in Atlanta.
Disrespectful. It was a disrespectful.
That is crossing the line. Like anybody in this chat would, if somebody else in this chat compared
that
their
don't know, that you're not friends with, you don't
personal appearance to a stripper, I think you'd have offense to it.
Correct.
You feel me?
Now, if Level 2 Noob said that about me, maybe I don't know if I'd be as offended from Level 2 Noob.
You'd probably send him roses and ask him to dinner.
But yeah, I mean, like, and everybody's saying, "Oh, I just hate." I've been seeing a couple of chats like Tua is too soft to need this. Tua is soft if he needs this apology.
Hey, and Mark, go fuck yourself. Mark McCormick can go fuck himself if he's gonna compare Tua to somebody who committed suicide. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like it's yeah, man. Like, come on, bro. Like, this is. I personally like the apology from Ryan Clark. And by the way, I would love to have Ryan Clark on the show. I've tried to get him and Channing Crowder. We're gonna get those guys. We're gonna get the pivot on the show one day. That's gonna happen. That's on the bucket list to get the pivot on the show. And I'm not just saying that because I want the pivot on the show.
Someone else in the chat. God, where was it? And it brings up a good point. And comparing him to the Colts quarterback that retired, right? Like, let me ask you this, man. Andrew Luck. Like, would it come to you as a total surprise if Tua, after his rookie contract, called it quits?
If Tua, after his rookie contract,
retired, which is after this year,
that don't even play like that, Cameron.
I'm just asking you a question. Like, would it surprise you? Is my ask. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he won't. I'm saying, would it surprise Stephen D if Tua retired?
Yeah, 100% it would. If he stays healthy this year, if he gets hurt again, then probably yes, or probably no, it wouldn't surprise me. If he stays healthy and then does it, I would be very surprised. Mark says, I didn't know Martin did that. My apologies. Shout out to Mark. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I don't think that would be the case. I don't think I'd be surprised if he's hurt again that happens.
Would you be surprised if he stays in the league but seeks a contract somewhere else?
Says I don't want to stay here down in South Florida.
Yeah.
If we're winning, then yes. If we're losing, then no.
No. Like, take everything out. Just considering everything that Ryan Clark said in his interview about his scrutiny, the atmosphere.
I mean,
I'm not saying he will or won't. I'm just asking.
No. You're posing the question. I understand I understand what you're asking. I am trying to say it's an unfair question to ask because no matter what I say, it has ripple effects to the fan base here.
Well, for sure, it's gonna. I mean, it's a divisive question.
It is 100%. It is. I will say. McDaniel, if McDaniel's here, there's no reason that he'll say that. McDaniel's given him more confidence than anybody has his entire lifetime, maybe even his family, and that's being real with you. Like nobody has backed him up more than Mike McDaniel. So I'm gonna say yes. I would be very surprised if he said I want to go somewhere else, as long as McDaniel's there. If McDaniel's gets let go or whatever, then.
So it'd be less surprising to you if he retired.
He's got an injury problem. So I mean, I understand that. I saw what happened with Luck. God forbid it does happen again this year, which I pray that it doesn't on everything. And
Mark, we accept your apologies, and we came at you strong. I came at you strong, but I that's a sensitive subject. So I'm glad it's past us.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, Tua's going to have a great year this year. He's going to win MVP or comeback player of the year, one of the two. And we're going to go to the AFC Championship game minimum. Like, that's what's going to happen this year. I'm very confident about it.
Okay, let me ask you this. What do you want to see Saturday from the offense and defense? Like, what do you want to see out of the offense? So Mike White, so that's probably the most important thing we heard from Mike McDaniel is that Mike White is not going to play because of his concussions. He's still in the protocol. James Blackman is going to get some snaps in the fourth quarter. So, Tua's going to play 5-6 series probably. Skyler's going to get the remainder up until, garbage time. That's probably the most important thing that came out of the news conference.
If I had a say, which I do not, I would want Tua to play the first quarter. I would want all the starters to play the first quarter, and then set them all out afterwards. So whether you get one series in or two series in, just play the first quarter.
I don't think it has to do with his the quarters or a time allocation, as it does a certain number of plays he wants to see them execute in a game situation.
Mm-hmm.
If they go 3 and out, they're going to play, probably 2 or 3 more series. If that first series is 12 plays and a touchdown, maybe it's 2 series then. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. Like, what I want to see is him not get hit. Do not want to see Tua get hit at all. I want to see the offensive line play together and play very well. And I'd like to see us go down the field 15 yards, whatever. And then I'd like to see honestly, what happened last week was almost perfect. We saw 2 drives that were 13 or 14 minutes long that resulted in touchdowns. And then we saw a drive that in less than 2 minutes, we went down and scored a touchdown. And so to me, that shows that the Dolphins can run out a clock. And that also tells me we get into the last part of the game with 2-minute drill we can go down and score. So I'm not worried about either way. The other thing I want to see, especially from the defensive side, is, especially with Trevor Lawrence on the field, how does the secondary look against Trevor Lawrence? And because Trevor Lawrence can sling that. He can sling that thing, man.
So Jacksonville's going to play, their starters for a half.
Yep. Our defense should play for a half. I would hope they would.
And so outside of, the quarterback position on the Dolphins side, you would want our starters playing a full half, right?
100%. 100%. The offensive side, I have nothing to prove. Like, it just go out there, run a couple of series, do well, show me that you can do it, whatever. After that, take out the important people and play the bubble people. And I don't care if we get killed in the second half. Just that, to me, that's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. 100%. Jacksonville is a good team. I need people to understand this. Like, Jacksonville is legit top. They're a playoff team.
Everyone's 0-0 until
I get it, but Jacksonville's a playoff team in the NFL. They are. They're good. They're really good. Doug Peterson moved that needle of that franchise from night to day like that. And the same thing that McDaniel did for Tua, Peterson did for Trevor Lawrence. And it's that confidence thing, and it's that swagger thing. And Trevor Lawrence had nobody. Like, he had never he wasn't used to losing. That Urban Meyer situation was so bad in Jacksonville. By the way, very disappointed in Swamp Kings on Netflix. Very disappointed that they didn't touch on some subjects in there. I watched all 4 episodes, was super excited. Was let down. Do better. But yeah, so for me, I think this is going to be a great test going into the Chargers game. I'm about to say San Diego. The Chargers game, week 1. Great warm-up test. And I would expect the starters to play probably the first half. A majority of the first half, if not all of it. That's the way I look at it. And Roach was in here yesterday.
Roach?
Yeah, he was in here yesterday. Talking about the Dolphins were going down. Whatever, bro. Whatever.
Oh, because he lives in Jacksonville, right?
He's a Jaguars fan now.
Now?
Yeah, he has a Jaguars channel and everything. He flip-flopped.
Flip-flopped it. Good for him.
You're only here for about another 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, 10, 15, man. Probably 10 after.
All right, I'm going to open up the lines. Y'all can come up here, ask me or Cam a question, and we will answer it for you. And,
before you do that.
Huh?
Before you do that, I want to, and you're in Baltimore, so you don't really know.
Okay.
But Messi might be the most popular athlete in South Florida right now.
Oh, my God. What he did last night was...
And it's not even close.
I thought when LeBron James came to South Florida, it was crazy. Messi blew that. Messi has blown that out the water. He's right. Not only the biggest thing in South Florida, he might be the biggest thing in sports right now today.
All right, so Isaiah Simmons, right?
Yeah, I know. Just got traded.
Was he or was he not a first-round draft pick?
Isaiah Simmons, I think, was.
And he got traded to the Giants for a 7th-round pick.
Isaiah Simmons.
So the Colts are asking for either a first-round draft pick or an equivalent of a first-round draft pick for Taylor.
He was the 8th overall draft pick in the 2020 draft.
And now he gets traded 3 years later for a 7th-round draft pick.
Yep.
So Taylor is the Colts are asking for a first-round equivalent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be, a couple of seconds in a 4th, whatever.
By the way, that was the first trade of the NFL this entire preseason and training camp.
Was it?
Yep. First trade of the entire preseason and training camp in the NFL.
quitter of the Seven Kings. So do the Dolphins acquire Taylor? What's your percentage of, is it 50%, 60%, 70%?
I mean, look, so Mike Avila was on this morning. If you guys missed it, I'm going to separate it and upload a separate Mike Avila video later on this afternoon. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to Mike from Dolphins Talk. And we've discussed it briefly. Here's my thought process on this, Cameron. We have literally, and even, McDaniel kind of alluded to it and made the joke about it in the presser this morning. We might as well just say the Dolphins have been affiliated with every single person in the NFL when it comes to trade talk this offseason and this preseason. So, of course, I knew that when the Jonathan Taylor situation presented itself of, hey, they're going to allow him to talk, the Dolphins were going to be at the top of that list as far as rumors were concerned. Do I think that the Dolphins are going to do it? No, because if they wanted somebody bad enough, they would have went out and got Swift. They would have went out and got,
Taylor's much different than Cook.
They would have went out and I know they tried to apparently get, Saquon and Josh Jacobs, but there was enough potential starting running backs this offseason, that if the Dolphins desperately wanted somebody, they would have eventually overpaid for somebody somewhere.
But none of the ones that were available, Saquon, Ezekiel, Dalvin Cook,
Kareem
Hunt, or Jacobs, right? And I'm not putting Kareem Hunt in that same conversation. Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, and Dalvin Cook. None of them are 24 years old like Taylor is.
Correct.
And that's the only concern. That's the concern with running backs, is the wear and tear and the tread life, so to speak, is the buzzword.
So out of all the running backs to overpay for, this is the one you would definitely want to do.
All right, you're not going to overpay for, Taylor is the same position as Tua, right?
Yes.
He's playing his last year of his rookie contract. He's going to want an extension. So right now, Greer is weighing whether, it's a Wilkins extension, a Tua extension, or a Taylor extension if you acquire him.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
When Taylor would be another luxury, albeit a better option than probably what he has currently in the running back room.
Do I want him? Yes. Are we going to get him? No.
Kim Mostert, Wilson, and you just drafted somebody in the 3rd round or 5th round, Devin A-Chain, that you love. So bringing in Taylor, would that be a clear upgrade over our running back room? Yes. Is it worth, getting rid of Wilkins? Or
I will be very surprised if a Jonathan Taylor trade to Miami happens. I will be very surprised.
Someone said 0%. I'll put it at 10%.
I'll be very surprised if it happens. Not saying that the Dolphins aren't interested, but the Dolphins are only interested to their extent, to what they are willing to do, not whatever the other team is.
And it's not Chris Greer's MO, right? He doesn't value the running back position in the same way he does quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback.
You know what's funny about it? I was trying to remember the trade rumors before the Tyreek Hill trade officially happened. And I was like, our name was in it, but I do feel like we heard the rumors kind of happened, and then it was down between the Jets and the Dolphins, and that was official. And then it was probably another couple of days after that. Right. So when there's smoke, there's fire usually, but with the exception of the Tyreek Hill trade, in the history of Chris Greer being the GM, I have never seen our name affiliated as a rumor to a high-profile name and it really go down, with the exception of Tyreek Hill.
Jalen Ramsey?
Jalen.
Chubb? They're all in the same category.
Yeah. Real.
Yeah.
All right, so the Jalen Ramsey situation.
Armstead?
Didn't Jalen say he'd love to play with us on a public platform or love to play with Xavier Howard or something like that? And then after that statement was made public, or he said it on a podcast or something, that the Dolphins said, "Oh, well, let's look into it."
Well,
and
still, Greer went out and pulled the trigger is the point.
Correct. And then as far as Chubb's situation is concerned, that happened when we needed a linebacker. I mean, that happened during in season. Like, I would be shocked. I got to be honest with you. I would be super shocked if the Dolphins got Jonathan Taylor.
I think they offer the Colts something in the likes of maybe
apparently they already offered something. Now I can't confirm that. But didn't we have an offer on the table with Minnesota when Dalvin was still there?
For sure. And so along those same lines, we'll hypothesize that it's a low ball offer, understanding that Greer could get him for that low ball offer, but he's also going to have to commit, a long-term contract for this kid. And so he's not going to, he's not going to give up, a first-round draft pick or probably a second or a third.
I think he'd give up a second rounder for Jonathan.
A third and a fifth, maybe.
If I'm gonna tell you right now, if he ends up getting Jonathan Taylor for a third and fifth rounder, he's the best trade GM in the history of GMs.
Well, if he does that, it's going to tell you that he has no plans in signing him long term either.
Who? We? Greer?
Yes. Correct.
You don't trade for him unless you can sign him long term, Cameron.
Man, listen, look at it from a big picture standpoint. Like, it's all in on this year.
And next year.
No. It's all in on this year.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you get trade for him and you don't extend him, Dolphin fans will lose their mind. Lose it.
That's the gamble, man.
And here's the other thing.
But it goes back to my point. Like, you have to have money to sign Wilkins and Tua if that's in your plan.
Okay, but I'm telling you right now, he's not going to get
Jonathan Taylor doesn't fit.
Right. But Cameron, here's the other thing to this, right? If he does get traded, and I believe he's not getting traded without an extension.
I agree.
You still are pissing off Christian Wilkins, who's sitting there patiently saying, "Hey guys, I don't know if you remember me, but I've been playing for your team for the last 3 years. I've been a superstar coming into my own into this league. I'm here. You paid a couple of stars here and there. I'm ready to be paid, fellas. I deserve it." You are definitely alienating the current group of people you have on your roster if that comes to fruition. Mind you, Cameron, you still have $7 to $10 million on a bench and a couple of different players between Cedric Wilson, Keon Cross, and so on and so forth.
Agreed, man.
And the only way you can get rid of those salaries are through a trade. So you got to pray, hey guys, if you're taking this on, there's going to be a kicker, and the kicker's going to be Cedric's coming too, and you're taking on Cedric's contract,
or Jeff, or both. Get rid of all the Wilsons.
I'll take both Wilsons for $500, Alex. I'll take Jeff and Cedric for $500, please. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. It's the last day of training camp, last day of practice, last day of training camp. What do you think will happen in the last few days here, man? Or the last few hours here? What happens? Are guys playing for their lives today? Are there some guys that are like, I got to make this last impression on the coaching staff?
100%. Like, not only today, but, this weekend, this Saturday. And McDaniel alluded to that. He's got 90 guys in camp, 94 guys in camp, that it'll be the last time they play as a group that size and together, since April 17th, I think he said 45 times have been on the field together as a squad of 90. And So there's going to be guys they're playing their asses off to make the squad or practice squad. And I disagree with Mike at the tail end there. And I fully believe the kid from USC, the defensive lineman, is making the squad on the starting 53.
Hey, breaking news: Shannon Sharp is joining First Take with Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, that was announced last week.
No, well, it's official. They just announced it on social media an hour ago.
And who is in there with Skip?
On Fridays,
Sherman.
it's going to be Lil Wayne on Fridays with Skip.
And Sherman,
and
right?
Richard Sherman Monday through Thursday, and Fridays with Lil Wayne. With Skip.
Yeah, Lil Wayne's a Miami resident. Anyway, Brandon Pilley, right? That's his name?
Yes.
He makes the squad.
I think so too.
Unless there's somebody that gets, like, I'm not going to say SUH, but I'm going to say if there's somebody out there who gets signed or somebody who gets released that's, more attractive, it always happens that way. I think Hand makes a squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the player I want to see the most out of on the defensive side, two players. First is Keandre Smith, the safety, because I think it's between him and Trill Williams for a roster spot.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly,
Trill's making this team, guys. I'm telling you right now, Trill.
I don't know, bro. Like, if Keandre shows out this weekend, I really think it's between those two. And Cameron Good, I think he has an opportunity.
Cameron, I would like to say that you have a guy with your name going to make the team, but I think you're being a little biased there about your Camerons, okay?
I once bought the tight end Cameron's jersey because of that. And I have a Cameron Wake jersey also.
Let's play Who's Your Favorite Cameron?
This guy. Trade them all in a third. And Aguade. Aguade is another player that I'd like to see make some steps. So we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. Have you been watching NFL Hard Knocks?
No.
Unfortunately, I have. But let me tell you, I am not impressed by the offensive line of the Jets. They look atrocious. They look worse than our offensive line. And that's saying a lot.
You're following Jets social media, man. It's bad. And who called them out yesterday? It was Ryan Clark, right?
Ryan Clark called him out yesterday. Yep.
I think it was Ryan Clark. They called him out on Get Up in the Morning. And the homer of all homers, Greeny, agreed with them. And they're shaking in their boots in terms of their offensive line.
I'm telling you right now, anybody who thinks that the Jets are going to come out here and just take over this division, y'all are sorely mistaken. Like, that is not going to happen. Number one, I understand that they beat the Bills last year, but I don't think they're better than the Bills yet. And we, in my opinion, are already better than the Bills. So I just don't see that the Jets are going to come in here and just, like, I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs. They're saying that they're not going to be number 2 or 3 in the division. But I'm telling you right now, they're not number 1. They're not number 1.
Before I leave, I've got to point out our good friend Pete here, because yesterday when I saw, the Trey Lance rumors and, where's a good fit for Trey Lance, and I immediately thought of Pete and Johnny on the spot. Pete, right there in the comment section, talk about why you guys scared to talk about a possible Trey Lance to Miami trade.
That'll never happen, bro.
I'd trade for Trey Lance in a heartbeat. Send him Skyler. We're good to go. How about that, Pete?
Skylar Thompson for Trey Lance.
It seems about equal.
Pete, do you like that trade, Pete?
They're both third-string quarterbacks, so why not?
I'm just saying, Pete, that might be a trade for us. Skylar for Trey Lance. I think we should start a social media campaign to make it happen. Skylar for Lance. Hashtag courtesy of Pete's Takes.
That's another T-shirt I'm going to make.
Hashtag courtesy of Pete's Takes. Skylar for Lance.
Send them Mike White. Mike White is signed to 2 years guaranteed. No one said,
Nobody's sitting there sending Mike White, bro. Come on, Pete. Pete, just admit it. Your boy's a third string, and that's all he's probably going to be. Yes, he's better than Josh Rosen, but is that saying a lot? Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, listen, Josh Rosen lasted in the league a good 7 or 8 years.
Level 2 Noob says, give me Trey Lance, more upside than White or Skyler.
Dude, Trey Lance has got some work to do, man. His footwork is worse than, a drunken salsa singer.
Drunken salsa singer, really? Really? All right. What do you got going on, man?
Man, we are getting all ready for tailgate season. Let me tell you something. East 32 Dolphins Tailgate's going to be bigger and better than ever. We've upgraded our offerings on the bar in terms of brands. Mm-hmm. We've got like some really cool fresh gear, not just t-shirts, but we've got golf shirts and we've got pullovers. We got rain jackets that you can turn into a backpack. We got the straw hats, man. It's the Dolphin straw hats. We've got bucket hats. We've got a bunch of good stuff, man. Got a partnership with Vesa Sewer. We're looking good.
We are. It's gonna be fire. I'm excited about it. It should be real good. I look forward to it. All right, Cameron, I love you, man. Get out of here. Go have fun.
I'm gonna see you Monday at 8 a.m.
Monday at 8 a.m.
Somebody hit me up about doing something on your show Monday morning.
8 p.m.
Oh, got you. That works too.
Yes, Ryan did.
Yes.
Yeah, so what we're doing is on Monday night, we're going to do a special show on Monday night here on the channel, and it's going to be every single tailgate across the country that's affiliated with doing something for the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to promote it. We're going to promote everybody's. We're going to be all-inclusive, all family.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Because we're going to talk about the tailgates that we're doing with Tailgreeter. We're going to talk about the MetLife takeover.
You mean tailgates across the country, not just
everywhere. So we want people to know, yes, we have our own tailgates and we love our tailgates. East 32 is the best, and Tailgreeter tailgates are the best with Miami sports music, but they're not the only ones. And we're a family here with a PH, and we want everybody to know that we're that. And that it's not a competition, because there ain't no competition. We know that East 32 is the best anyway.
Road 209. That's what I like to say. Road 209.
Route 209, baby. So we're gonna talk about everybody's. It's gonna be awesome, and we're just gonna promote everybody and everybody's thing around the country, around the world.
Is there a Monday night football game?
I believe so. No, this week.
Yeah,
I don't think so, actually. Let me look. Hey, by the way, you see Otani?
Yeah, man.
Towards UCL, not pitching anymore this year.
But that's going to be super impactful for his contract.
I know.
It's
no Monday night game this week. No Monday night game. So we're good.
All right, I'm out.
Love you, brother. We're good, man.
We'll see you Monday night.
All right, man. Should be fun. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. It is your boy, Stephen D. Hope you guys are enjoying everything. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Donate to the channel. No donations today. Come on, donate. If you like the show, you like the content, donate. Even if it's $1, it helps if you're able to. If you're not able to donate, hit the like button and share the link. We can't grow without your help, okay? It's good stuff. All right. My man Jason Sarney, and this interview is uploaded already to the channel on its own merit, but we are going to play it here this morning. Sat down with somebody big in the community, a big guy, a big guy, Big O. He sat down with Big O, and he did a one-on-one with Big O. So we're gonna replay that for you right here now, live this morning. It's Jason Sarney. It's a special edition of Dolphin Chat. He recorded it yesterday. And so this is Jason Sarney and Big O on Dolphin Chat.
Hello, everybody. Jason Sarney here with a Dolphin Chat, courtesy of Dolphins Weekly. And of course, my friends over at DWA, Dolphins with Attitude, and Miami Sports Music. I have a very special guest tonight. Can't wait to bring him in. Staple in South Florida media. Obviously, Dolphin-centric. This man knows the deal. We're going to bring in my friend Orlando Alzagari Jr., Big O himself. How are you, Big O?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing, Jason? You doing good, man?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, we saw each other over in Canton for the Zach Thomas Hall of Fame induction. You want to bring us back? What were your favorite moments? I remember one specific one. What was your favorite?
I mean, us gathering around Shula's bust, that to me was the highlight of everything besides, getting to meet you. We've always been back and forth on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, and Big E and, and Dolph Freaky and, everybody, all the people, 305 Sports Babe, all the folks that, that I met throughout, listeners that obviously support the show all throughout the world, actually, because Martin Lydon, I know his name from England, from Fins Nation UK, baby, Fins Nation UK. We support it all, and so it was just fun to just interact with. To me, that was the second favorite thing, besides all of us gathering around Shula's bust and doing something that I wanted to do 2 years ago, but the pandemic hit. It was the JT stuff, and I wanted us to go gather up, but then that whole pandemic stuff, so I stayed away, and it kind of ruined. I didn't go to the JT one because I went to the Marino one. Which, by the way, Hall of Fame, can you please make one of these for me for Zach? Because I really wanted to buy one for Zach, man. And they didn't have it, so it broke my heart that I couldn't get my Zach one. But so I went for Marino. I didn't go for Taylor, and I wanted to do the get together there. And so I was so glad that we did it out there. I thought it was really cool. We were also very organized. We allowed the people to go through. We didn't form any ruckus, so it was. I was really proud of us. We behaved, and that was.
You did a great job setting it together. I mean, weeks in progress on Twitter. You were organizing that.
We tried, bro. We tried, and your help and everybody else's spreading the word, and then we all met there. And so, and I love the fact that outside of Cleveland, which they should be, the Dolphin Nation was the strongest fan base that was there. I thought that made me proud too, because people talk a lot of crap about our fan base, and our fan base is actually absolutely phenomenal. The problem is people talk a lot of crap, but they don't really, deal with the fan base like I have for 30 years now. And so I deal with fans from all over the world. I know how strong our fan base is. It's just, I know that we haven't gotten over the top, and they haven't won and all that kind of stuff, and they weren't figuring stuff out for like 2 decades. But here they come. Here they come. So I think they figured things out already. So we'll see.
It's great. At the end of that fight song, and for anyone who doesn't know, we did a fight song right in front of Shula's bust for the Zach Thomas induction that whole couple of days we were there. And at the end of it, I don't know if it was impromptu, if you planned it, but that line that you had, we start in Canton, we end in the Super Bowl. We started the Hall of Fame, we ended the Super Bowl.
We end in the Super Bowl. And no, it wasn't planned. It was just one of those things that I felt like that's how we have to end it, because that's where we're going to end it. It's going to end in the Super Bowl this year. I'm the crazy nut that thinks they're going to win 12, 13 games, and they're going to win this division. And I think they're going to shock a lot of people, and they're going to be in the Super Bowl. And I expect to be in Vegas, and I'm sure you'll be there with me, Jason, and the entire Dolphin Nation. So we're going to be all over Vegas in early February. I can tell you that. So.
Oh, that is a sight to see and imagine in my head. And you know what? That was our kickoff to this quick little show here. And we're going to now go into our first down. And what does a lot of teams like to do on first down traditionally? It's run the football. In some cases, we're going to talk running back. I know you have a lot to say about the subject. So I'm going to hand it off to you now, Big O. What do you say about the running back situation in Miami and Indianapolis?
I love it. That part. Okay, first of all, let me just say I love the backs that they have now. I understand their philosophy. They're paying all those backs less than they're paying Dalvin Cook in New York. I explain it this way. The 5 most important positions in football is the quarterback, the tackle, the shutdown corner, the number 1 wide receiver, and a pass rusher. Could be an outside linebacker, could be a defensive end, depending on the scheme. You all know what I'm talking about, right? What does Greer pay? He pays Armstead. He paid Jones the corner, X the corner, and now Ramsey the corner, right? He paid Tyreek, right? And then he, who am I missing? Chubb. Agba. Chug and Agba, because once Agba proved he can pass rush, he locked him up to a multi-year deal, right? So he pays his pass rush. He pays the 5 most important. People don't pay running backs, man. I mean, we just got an education all summer long. Saquon wanted out or a big deal, got neither. Derrick Henry's the biggest difference maker in the history of the planet right now. Nobody wants him. Nobody trades. Nobody says, you know what, he's 29. You can get 2-3 years left out of Derrick Henry and say, you know what, let's go pay him for. Nobody does it. Nobody does it. Aaron Jones had to take a monster pay cut along with Joe Nixon to stay there. Austin Eckler wanted out and wanted a big deal, did not get it. Dalvin Cook wanted more money, did not get it. He had to wait for Aaron Rodgers to bail him out, that the Jets boosted the offer because of Aaron Jones. And that's because of Aaron Rodgers. That's the only reason. So the Dolphins, as I told everybody throughout the whole Cook situation, they're not going to pay for running backs. I think they've proven that over and over again. So the offer, do they have an offer probably for, hey, we'll give you a 4th rounder and a 7th rounder the following year. And, hey, Jonathan, look, we can give you $6 million a year if you want. You're 24, We're offering Cook 4.5, but he's 28. Well, we'll give you 6. If you think they're going to offer double-digit money and they're going to offer high picks and all that, they're not going to do that. They've got to pay Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips and Sealer and Wilkins and remember, they can draft now. Remember, the Dolphins can draft now. Okay? So now that
That's a good point.
Yeah, before they sucked at drafting, and the few that came up, we would lose them all the time. They would end up leaving. And so now you're going to have the things that the good franchises, that when you draft well, you're not going to be able to sign them all. So get ready to be heartbroken, because you're not going to be able to sign them all. And now you're going to get into the compensatory cycles every year, because if you continue to hit, then you'll continue to have picks and extra players and people you won't be able to pay when it's all said and done. And all these players that they have to pay are more important than a running back. The running back is interchangeable, and they've proven it to you over and over again. Sure, they'll trade for Jalen Ramsey, but they got him for a 3rd rounder. They didn't pay anything for Jalen Ramsey. A 3rd rounder for the top 3 corner in the NFL is a joke. Do you think the Colts are going to give him away? No, they got him under control. Did they give Saquon Barkley away? No, they've got him under control. They're not giving them away, but also nobody's paying them. And it's no one's getting money. No one's being traded for. This is what I keep trying to explain to people, and everyone's doing this. No one's paying running backs. No one's dishing out multi-year deals. This guy's going to want a 6-8 year deal, whatever, 60, 80 million, 40 million guaranteed. You think they're going to do that? They're not going to do that. Those days are done. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people. So you got to save your money for these other guys that you've got to sign. And that's more important. A 7th round running back won the Super Bowl. Just go back and look at all the Super Bowls lately. There's no backs that are winning your Super Bowls anymore. They're not carrying you anymore. They're not your, and when they are your offense, guess what happens? You get eliminated in the playoffs. Ask Derrick Henry. You can't have a run-oriented offense. You have to have a pass-oriented offense that is complemented by the running back. So the running back is now a cog, not the main reason why you win, just a cog in the machine. That's what it is. You win with tackles, You win with pass rushers, shutdown corners, number one wide receivers, and of course, the quarterback. Those are the important positions. You don't pay running backs. And Chris Grier has proven to us he won't pay running backs. So if you want to give Jonathan Taylor away, he'll be here with the Salvation Army bucket. But if it's not in the Salvation Army bucket, it's not going to happen. So, build yourself up all you want, but that's not going to happen.
I really fully agree with you. We've been on the same page very recently with the fact that Chris Grier, and this depends on, I guess, who you ask. And I'm asking, I believe, the right person. Chris Grier has been in the building for a very long time, but he hasn't been driving the car since around probably 2019, where he was sole control of everything along with Brandon Shaw's salary cap. But if you want to call him in charge of the draft from 2016 on, his first two picks were Laramie Tunsil, which is 15% of the core team now, and Xavier Howard, who leads the NFL in interceptions since, and our hero, you can't see, but Kenyon Drake as the third pick. So those were his first three. I can't see there are misses. I get it. But talk to us about Chris Grier. Do you grade him? What do you think? Highs, lows? What are your thoughts?
Dude, I've been covering this team for 33 years now. I've been following it for 50. This is the best team the Dolphins have had since the early 90s. It's a better team than Jimmy or anybody else built since. So he's done a phenomenal job. It's like, I know Noah missed, but dude, when you draft Minka, and he didn't, that was Flo that got him out of here. It wasn't Grier's fault or anybody else. It was Flo. But you draft Minka, you draft Holland, you draft X, you draft Brandon Jones. Cam looks really good overall. You find Needham, you find Kohu off the street. I won't even throw Trill in there, but Trill was turning the corner last year too, and you were like, holy shit, who's this kid? I'm sorry if I could not cuss.
You're good. Oh, you're good here. Don't worry.
And so, you're like, and so to complain about Noah when you've hit on everything else pretty much in the secondary, it's crazy. And I get the Austin Jackson, Liam Eichenberg thing, and we get all hung up on that. But it's funny, right? Because you get hung up on Noah, Liam Eichenberg, and Austin Jackson, but you leave out Tua, Brandon Jones, and the defensive lineman, the tackle, who
Raekwon Davis, Robert Hunt. These are hits.
Yeah, they're hits. And Robert Hunt isn't necessarily like a monster hit yet because let's be honest, he's kind of teetering on either being a failure or barely being a success. Let's be honest now. He hasn't really gone to the step that we expected him. This is a contract year, so we'll see what happens. It's interesting.
Contract years are powerful. Contract years can be very powerful.
Yeah, but Jason, it's super dangerous. Because if you're the front office and the coaching staff, you're going, well, wait a minute, this guy was up and down, up and down, up and down for 3 years. So now his fourth year, he played like a monster and he was awesome. So did he do it just for the contract? Are we getting back the guy from the first 3 years again? And that happens a lot in this league. That happens all over the place. I have tons of examples of stuff like that. And then when you do give him the money and then all of a sudden he goes back to being the guy before and you're like, damn, dude, Peerless Price, Darryl Gardner, whatever. I can start going on and on of guys that, played up to one point. And then when you gave him the money, boom, that's it. You didn't get anything out of it. You know what I'm saying? And so those things are dangerous too. So Raekwon puts them in a really precarious, situation because if he goes to perform, then he had never done it before. At least with some other guys, usually you'll see stretches or a season or two that was good or bad. With him, he hasn't really had a dominant year yet. He just hasn't flashed. He's had moments, but not enough. You know what I'm saying? So, but still, it wasn't a terrible pick. And overall, it just gets, I think people get too hung up on a couple of the picks and then they forget about everything else and all the other hits that come with it. And by the way, what do we do now as Dolphin fans? We start searching for the undrafted guys now, Jason. Every year now we're wondering who are the undrafted. Like Brandon Peely now is locked into the team pretty much.
Lock. Oh, he's a lock.
Yeah, lock for sure. But then there are other intriguing guys. You know, the tight end situation is so iffy that the Julian Hill kid kind of looks interesting there. The Brooks kid looks terrific at running back. He adds like a different element to the game where really A-Chain, what's it called? Ahmed and Gaskin are kind of the same dude almost. You know what I'm saying? So you got a redundancy there. This kid offers something a little different. You know what I mean? So now every year it's like, yo, who are the undrafted guys? You know what I mean? Tanner Connor was a guy that flashed last year, and you know they kept him and everything. And I'm really intrigued to see what happens with him. But that's what's happened now. Whether it's Nick Needham or Tro Williams, we start finding these undrafted guys. So all of a sudden now you're hitting also on undrafted guys. How is this not a good front office, Jason? I don't know.
You're preaching to the choir. I think me and you are literally like singing like this is like, you know, our sermon here.
Dude, I watched the bad front offices. I used to rip them all the time. Okay? I was on a streak for almost 20 years of being so unhappy with everything the Dolphins were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see what Chris Greer and company are doing, dude, he found a coach. Dude, he found a coach. He found a quarterback. Who the hell does that? Not named Shula.
You're right.
Seriously. Who finds a quarterback and a coach not named Shula?
They coexist, and they actually coexist. And we're going into year 2. So Tua hasn't even had that to really, you know, build on in college or the pros.
Now, for 2 years now. I mean, give me a break, dude. It's like, he got drafted into, and I broke the news a long time ago that I told everybody Flo never wanted him. No. That came from our show, not anybody else. And everybody else knew on our show that he wanted Jordan Love. And you found that out on our show. We told you, you can't go somewhere. I mean, have a relationship with your child and never pay attention to your child. Never say hi to it. Never give it love. Never nurture that relationship. Have a pet. Never nurture that relationship. See how that's going to work out. Have a plant and never nurture that relationship. My God, Flo never nurtured that relationship. He didn't care to nurture it. How do you succeed when people are pretty much against you? You know what I mean? You
can't.
Great
question.
You know, it's just to me what Chris Greer has done, and he screwed up with Flo, but he fixed it with Mike McDaniel. And then he found a young coach that could do what Flo and Philbin couldn't do. Jason, they couldn't build staffs. And by the way, when they hired Philbin, I told everybody on my show, I was at QAM then, I said, this is going to be a disaster because I knew people in Green Bay building. And they were like, he's been here his entire career. We're not letting out any of our coaches. How's he going to build a staff? Right there, I told everybody on our fan base, I said, he can't build a staff. And sure enough, for the next couple of years, he couldn't build a staff. And guess what Flo couldn't do? Flo was stuck in one place for 16 years. It's funny. The coach that gets fired over and over again and hired everywhere, they laugh at him. And, this guy's had 80 jobs. Well, he's had 80 jobs because he's actually a good coach. And they keep hiring him in other places. But as you go along the way, you get to learn new systems, more coaches, more assistant coaches, and you build your Rolodex. That's the guy you end up hiring, the guy that's been through the ringer. We hired 2 guys that were stuck in their places and they never grew. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things that people don't understand. So I think this man's done an awesome job because he found a coach, he found a quarterback, and he found a young coach that can build a staff. Because when he got Fangio, holy crap. Wow. And by the way, I'm not for the Crossman thing. That's the guy I would have gotten rid of, actually.
Me too. Yeah, special teams was abysmal.
I didn't have a problem with Boyer, but if you're going to get Fangio, of course, you boot Boyer out, bro. Of course. I mean, give me a break. But I had a real problem with Crossman. We'll see what happens this year, okay? To be fair, I'm not a Crossman guy. He's going to have to prove it to me that he's the right guy. But offense and defense, baby, the Dolphins are golden. This is the best franchise they've had since the early 90s. And it might go into the 80s if they go and have success in the playoffs and they go deep. That'll be the difference there. And then we're starting to talk about, so how can you complain about Greer when he's kicked everybody's ass that comes before him? And now we're going to measure him up to Shula teams, not to the other teams we've had here that have been monster underachievers. So, and I listen, they haven't done anything yet. So I get it. But if I can tell you Joe Philbin sucks and he's never going to build a team before he even does anything with the Dolphins, well, then I can tell you I think the Dolphins are going to kick some serious ass. Okay? Because if I can tell you they're going to suck for many years, I have the right to tell you I think they're going to be fantastic. Okay? And I think this is a fantastic franchise now, top to bottom.
I love it. I think if you put, you mentioned going back to the 80s. So if you have that, magic on offense from like the 80s with the Marx Brothers, when I think they have a pretty good tandem here at receiver, and then you put those Jimmy defensive teams together and somehow just get that mix of those eras. Now you have the Mike McDaniel era, who I think is selfless enough to say, yeah, I'm going to bring in Vic Fangio. Let him just run the defense and you don't even have to report to me. I don't think other coaches wanted to do that. So let's talk about on-field stuff. We've got 2 games on tape. What have you liked? What have you not liked? And what can you look ahead for the finale against Jacksonville?
Well, I love this past week. I mean, the first week, there's a lot of mixing and matching and stuff. I love what they did this past week. It looked like they game planned a little bit more and they were executing. So I'd like to see them continue doing this. But one of the things that as much as I like McDaniel, I ripped him pretty damn good last year a couple times because he abandoned the running game. And I was incredibly pissed, especially in the Green Bay and Buffalo games when you're respectfully averaging 7 and 9 yards a carry. Bro, keep running the ball, baby. Keep running. Tua will be that much more dangerous if you actually run the ball. And your passing game will be that much more dangerous if you run the ball. And so the fact that he stuck with the running game, the fact that this offseason he admitted that he didn't run enough, that he even admitted that he apologized to Mostert and all that, which shows me that he's willing to grow as a coach and not be stubborn, which we've seen that here at times with different coaches and their stubbornness. And so you're willing to understand and self-scout yourself. I love that. So I just want to keep the trajectory that I saw this week, Jason. Keep running the football. The other stuff, I'm not really going to get a good feel for everything on defense yet until Fangio really unleashes the Kraken. And
it's vanilla. It's still vanilla.
Yeah, he's not going to do anything till week 1. So there's a lot of stuff that I can't tell, and I'm not going to BS you guys. I've been at this for decades now. And when I started was the end of the Shula era, okay? I started in 91, so I got the last few years of Shula, and I got Jimmy and Wannstedt. And, in those days, they were still hitting a lot, 2-a-days and inside drills and all. And you got a really good feel by the time the preseason was done how good your football team was going to be. Nowadays, they just don't hit enough for you to really get a good feel compared to what we used to get back in the 90s and very early 2000. It kind of started ending in the early 2000s when they started kind of the players union, all that kind of stuff started to negotiate some extra time off and wear and tear, all that other stuff that obviously they were worried about. But yeah, so I need to see a little bit more, but I love the dedication to the running game because I just think you do that and everything is going to open up. And that's what I think. So to me, I love that attitude, that part of it, because you know who Warren Sharp is?
Yeah, he does a lot of the analytics, does great tweets.
Yeah, and the one he put last year where McDaniel had Tua, basically he had the hardest passing game in the NFL his attempts were way higher than see, it's funny. Oh, he doesn't throw. Oh, Tua can't throw the ball downfield. Nah, he just threw more.
Leader in attempts.
Yeah, averaged more distance than everybody else on attempts, and that's because he was a little too pass happy and not enough run happy. And so now he understood that. He self-scouted it. He admitted it, which was like, oh my God, I never even see coaches do shit like that. And so that was like awesome. And that's what I want to see, Jason. I want to see the same trajectory this week, that you have the same commitment to the running game all the way through, starters and backups. I want to see that same attitude because I think, dude, look how great Skyler looked.
He improved, probably the most improved from week 1 to week 2, just from A to B. He went up.
Right. Right. Well, but that's because they blocked. They opened the holes. They really had more of a play design set up for him. And then he looked so comfortable, Jason. That was the beautiful thing about it. And he did what he's supposed to do. When you're playing against backups, you're supposed to beat them. And that's what he did. And I thought that was really, really cool on Skylar. I was really excited for Skylar last week. That's the other thing that I would tell you that I really like, because that battle is kind of interesting. You know, Skylar started off early on looking good. And then when the crowd came in, Mike White started kind of lighting it up a little bit more. And then Skylar really came back this week. And it'll be interesting to see how Mike White answers, because he did practice today. So it looks like he's going to get back in there, because he knows, you know, that as the late, great Mad Dog would say, there's a shoeless man outside the door waiting to take your job. And so
that's great.
You know, Mike White knows that Skylar Thompson's ready to take his job.
That's a great segue into any, speaking of the job, Greer's got a job to do, and that's solidify this roster going into after this preseason game. Christian Wilkins is another name that we keep on hearing. Give me a comfort level of Wilkins getting locked up.
Oh, I think it'll get locked up the leading up to the game, the week of the game, right there. 7-10 days out, I think.
Okay.
They come to their senses. A lot of the posturing, and one side gives, the other side gives a little bit, and they get this thing done, and we get closer to the season. It'll be like the Damian Lillard thing with the Heat. It'll be a week or two before training camp, and Portland's like, oh God, we don't want him to show up, and then and so it'll get to a point where Wilkins knows he's got to get on the field. Dolphins know they got to maybe make a little extra push to kind of finish this thing off, and they'll get it. He's so important.
So important.
I just and they love him. So I don't think they go contradicting themselves, how they've carried themselves, how they truly feel about him. You've seen that from the get-go. These guys kind of, and the X stuff was also tenuous.
Same idea.
And then and Chris Greer was like super smooth throughout the whole thing, and like, hey, don't worry, and this, that, and it worked out, and it finally got done. I think it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? I think when the player means something, I think they find a way to get it done. And I think, it'll be a little extra painful for them, obviously, because it's a lot of money. But I think they'll get it done, bro. I think Christian Wilkins, you got to have him on your. And by the way, prediction. He gets a 6.5, 7.5 sacks this year.
Oh, I mean, that would make everyone just forget about the non-sack issue. Forget about the 180 tackles over 2 years.
Okay, so let me ask you something. This is what people don't understand. So what are the ends doing?
That's exactly right. They have the outside rush. They don't need Wilkins to get sacks.
But last year you didn't have the outside rush. And why didn't you have the outside rush? Because you had no secondary. So people can run whatever the hell they want. So now if you get your secondary back, now your pass rushers are healthy. Chubb is not in the club, and Ogbah's back, and now you got your three rotations of guys here, and I think it opens it up for Christian Wilkins now. Because all of a sudden now, that running back that could have picked up Christian Wilkins has got to worry about a werewolf named Phillips that's going to pick up 13, 15 sacks this year. And so if the werewolf wakes up, which I think the full moon comes out this year for Jalen Phillips, and he's going to have a monster season. And I think when that havoc starts to be created, I think that's what opens it up for a very quick Christian Wilkins. And that's where I think sack numbers go up, because the elements around him are now better. Because if you really look at it, he and I'll give Jalen a lot of credit. He was really close last year to a whole bunch of sacks. That's why I think this is the year that yeah, that's why I think this is the year he gets to those sacks he missed last year. That's why I just think it's different. But I just think Christian was like the guy that you had to scheme for. Now I think you're going to have to scheme for other things. And that's where I think it opens it up for Christian. So my prediction is 6.5, 7.5 sacks for Christian Wilkins this season. And people will calm down a little bit.
Ooh, that would be fantastic. August was a phenomenal month. honestly, for Dolphin fans all over the place, the Hall of Fame. We're going for our 4th straight winning preseason, if anybody cares about that on Saturday, which to go with 3 straight winning seasons, I mean, we're doing some winning, but we got to do the winning in the right time.
Stay healthy, bro. I just need him to stay healthy because, you know, to me last year, Jason, was about injuries. Nothing else. I don't care what anybody tells me. It wasn't because they were a bad team or they weren't good enough or this and that. Hell, they made the playoffs and they had the Bills on the brink. Okay.
With Skylar Thompson.
With Skylar Thompson. And if the coach is a little bit more prepared for that, you know, that down, maybe you even score on that drive and you eliminate the Bills. So I think people just kind of conveniently forget all the injuries and how it changed your season. But if you don't have those injuries, those 5 games, you might win 2 or 3 easily of those games. And it's a completely different season and you're a completely different monster in the playoffs. So it's just about maturity and a little luck. And I think the Dolphins are headed for both. I think their team is maturing and all they need now is what every team needs. When you get
Stay healthy.
deep, you had some luck, bro. You have to have some luck. You know? That's it.
And you know what? A little bit of luck. Vegas, baby. Vegas. It's coming together, Big O.
I'll be there. And I already took them for the over. So I think they're gonna. I took them last year for the over.
You're locked in.
It was 8.5 last year, and I was feeling really good when we were 8-3, brother.
Let's not go over.
It took forever to get that 9th win, but they got the 9th win. I was confident, and I'm confident this year that they're going to go well over the double digits. They'll go to 12 or 13, like I told you earlier. So I mean, I don't know, man. I'm really confident about it. That's all. I just feel really good. I have felt so bad about Dolphin teams in the past, and I would tell Dolphin fans, yeah, I'm not expecting much, and they would hate that I would do that, but I'm not the guy who blows smoke up your, you know what, if it's not true. And this is the real deal, Dolphin fans. Enjoy it, man. Don't let this media and all these people, they got to get clicks and views. So they got to tell you the worst, or they got to create drama and all that crap. But really, if I'm you guys, stay focused, enjoy the moment, enjoy all the things going on, from Zach's Hall of Fame to watching the preseason to maybe watching this offensive line mature a little bit more. I mean, let's celebrate Kendall Lamb, dude. Did you have a backup? Did you have what looked like a competent backup left tackle last year, Jason? Help me out there.
You know what? I'm going to plead a little bit of. I was a little bit wrong on Kendall Lamb a couple of weeks ago. I said, listen, we don't want Kendall Lamb, you know, popping in there, showing his skill. He's improved. I'm very impressed with Lamb this particular
last
offseason.
year. Did you at least have a Kendall Lamb to start the season at left tackle? Were you like, oh my God, right? At least now you're like, hey, dude, this guy's done a pretty decent job. Maybe he found his way here. You know what I'm saying? So you just never know. And Cotton's looked really good. Isaiah had a good week. Maybe that's where your left guard gets settled with those kind of guys. You know what I'm saying?
I hope.
So they're yeah, and you know, it's funny how Chris Greer, well, okay, he missed on Eichenberg. You can say that, fine, but didn't he find Robert Jones to do a serviceable job last year? Didn't they find Brandon Shell, who did a serviceable job to fill in for right tackle? Okay, Austin got injured, couldn't do the job, but at least Brandon Shell was not Jesse Davis.
Whoa. Sorry to bring Jesse Davis's name into the show, but yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to take shots, but then you don't sit back and say, wow, in a pinch, they actually found some guys. And now they found this Cotton kid who, tell me, he's looked good when it's run plays. He mauls, dude. He mauls. So the pass pro is where he has to adjust a little bit, but linemen are, you know, I've explained this on my show. You talk to scouts nowadays, which I do, and they'll tell you scouting linemen now is near impossible. Nobody run blocks anymore. They don't put their hand on the ground. You know more about pass pro because that's all they do is pass pro. And then it's all RPOs. So it's not even traditional run plays at times. So it's harder to gauge linemen nowadays. And so it becomes almost an impossible thing to figure out who's going to be good at the next level and who can run block at the next level, because then you find out, oh, this guy can't run block, and it kills you right there. So scouting linemen has become the hardest thing to do because of the college game, the way the college game is being played. And so that's where things have kind of changed a little bit. In quarterbacking, because of what they're doing in high school all the way through, QBs are actually learning a lot more about offenses. So they're actually advancing, you know what I mean, in some areas, some systems. Others that they have just the cards, they kind of dummy them down, and then that hurts them. But in quarterbacks, sometimes they're advancing a little bit more than they were in the past. Not totally, but a little bit. But linemen, oh my God, it's gone backwards. And so it's really hard. That's why the whole league has problems. The Jets have 3 holes on their line. You know that, right?
Yep.
I mean, 3 holes on their line. The Bills have 2, and the Patriots have 2, and the Dolphins have 2 also. Although maybe I might go 1, because
I'll go 1.5 and hope that we're going to go to 1 right now. Left guard needs to be figured out, but right tackle right now, is, unless he proves otherwise, it's a hole unless Austin Jackson or someone just beats him to the punch and takes the job.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see, man. We'll see. It's crazy stuff, but I'm pumped for the season, man. That's all I can tell you.
Well, Big O, I appreciate you. Where can everybody find you? You're all over. Where's the best lead to you?
Well, on Twitter, Big O Show, and then our YouTube page is Big O Radio Show. That's where you can find our YouTube page, Big O Radio Show, and on Twitter at Big O Show. That's the easiest ways to follow us and all the insiders and everything that we got, and our Dolphins pre and post game show, and all kinds of stuff that we do all throughout the year. And we hit the road too, so we do a lot of things that most places don't do. So appreciate the support out there.
I hope to see you down at week 3. I'll be at the home opener. Won't be making the trek to LA. It sounds like you will, though.
No. I'm home.
Okay.
I got to do post. Yeah, I do pre and post every week. So yeah,
gotcha.
I gotta work. Oh, except for actually the end of September, I'm going to Vegas for Showtime. I'm going to cover the Canelo fight.
Oh,
so I'll be doing the pre and post game show from Vegas. Actually, the Bills game, because the Bills game is on my birthday, October 1st. So yeah,
I'll be sure to wish you a big O October happy birthday then. So I appreciate you. Thanks for joining, and fins up everyone out there. This is our year. Big O said it. I'm agreeing. Have a good one, everyone.
Guys, be good out there. Fins up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Shout out to Jason Sarney for putting that together and making a Dolphin chat. If you guys missed any of that, there is the interview by itself is already up on the YouTube channel. You guys can go rewatch that or go share that. Go show Jason some love. Even if you just watch it up here, at least go there and to hit the like button on that link. Matter of fact, I'll make it easy for you. Here's the link itself. Just go there to hit the like button and give him a pat on the back, give him a thumbs up, because Jason deserves that. He put a lot of work and time into that, and shout out to Jason. We love Jason, man. So the link is in the chat. Just go tap it. Click the link, hit the like button, come on back. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. There was some things in there that I think I agree with Big O with. I think that this is the best team that the Dolphins have had. I've been saying it for weeks now, since the early 90s. And I would agree and concur with his statement that if they go deep, it could be better than some of the early 80 teams. And that's exciting. I am excited. I know you're a local hopium dealer. I get that. There's definitely some needs for improvement in certain areas. But for me, I look at the team and I say the Dolphins are exactly where they need to be at to be making the move forward as a franchise. Are there some things I want them to address? Of course there is. I think every team has that, unless you're, the Patriots for the last 20 years, or you're the Kansas City Chiefs for the last 5. I want to see the Dolphins be competitive. I say this all the time. I'm a big NBA fan, and I hate the Knicks with a passion. But the NBA is a better product when the Knicks are a good team and they're in the playoffs, because you either love them or you hate them. And I feel the same way about the Dolphins, as far as the NFL is better when the Dolphins are a competitive team and they're putting a great product out onto the field. So I want to see that. I want to see the Dolphins, do that and be able to make, the Dolphins. I want to see them be a Super Bowl contender. I want that badly, because without that, I don't know how they, are able to keep this fan base. I don't want to say intact, but let's be honest about it. The Dolphins need to show us as a fan base something that makes us believe, oh, okay, hey, look, this is where we're at. There's nothing more that needs to be said. All right, this is from practice earlier this morning. They're wrapping up practice now. This is the last live practice, last practice of the training camp. This is a throw from Tua. Here it is. Let me pull that in. There we go. What a throw. What a throw. What a throw. Tua in the backfield. Oh, my goodness. You can't defend that. You cannot defend that. That is undefensible. Great throw. Put it in the only spot that the receiver could get it for a touchdown. We see throws like that in the regular season in the red zone. I'm going to be a very, very happy man. Very, very happy. All right, I'm going to drop the link, and I'll invite a couple of you to end the show with me. I'll bring you on one at a time, and I'll take a couple of y'all's, whatever you have for me. Question, take, your own theory, your own thoughts. I'll take a couple of your final thoughts here. I dropped the link in the chat. Get on if you want to give me your final thoughts, or your final, or if you have a question for me, whatever it is, I want to hear from you. All right. Let me know. Let me help you. Help you help me. All right. By the way, here's another pass earlier. Another great throw. Love it. Tua looking good today. I like it. All right. First person in the back. I got to bring him on. Nobody else came into the back room. I'm going to bring him on. Mark. Good morning, Mark. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Stephen. I had a lot. I wanted to just comment on something that you had commented on earlier today.
Okay.
But if the Dolphins are going all in for 2024, I just want you to think of a realization that maybe you hadn't thought of yet. You could bring on Jonathan Taylor. You can get him for, whatever capital that they want, but at the same, and that's reasonable to Miami. But just remember, if you're going for it in 2024, even if you lose him in 2025 and beyond, you're going to get a third round compensatory pick. So why not make the move?
I think that's an interesting theory or an interesting thought. I think that I would love for the Dolphins to go after Jonathan Taylor. I think it would make us a better football team.
I agree.
But our running back room is not scrubs. They're good. As a whole, they're good. And, there's nothing that really shows me that Greer's going to make that trade. I just don't see it happening personally.
Well, here's my thought. I looked at the Colts roster, and obviously the Bills play them in Week 1, and so you can make some assertions based on what you saw. But to be honest with you, they need help in the secondary. Miami's extremely strong in the secondary. They do need a fourth wide receiver. Miami's extremely strong at wide receiver. You could put a package together, and I don't think you're going to be able to get rid of Cedric Wilson or Agba, because that's a fantasy anybody's going to take on those contracts when they're contesting paying Jonathan Taylor. But you can move some pieces off your roster, bring on Taylor, help the Colts, don't have to give up a draft choice, and if you lose him, as I said, and if you make a Super Bowl run this year and you get a third round compensatory for 2025, I don't see what the problem is.
I mean, look, I hope I actually hope that you're right. I hope that the Dolphins do that, but we'll have to see what happens, man. All right, Mark, I got a couple.
Anyway, that's all I had, and I just wanted to have somebody else comment on that. Take care.
Love you, brother. Be good. All right, man. Rashad, good morning, man. What's up?
Nothing much. I was pretty much coming up to talk about the same thing, but what we're failing to understand is.
Hey, real quick, just a little tidbit. Dolphins have signed Broncos linebacker Alexander Johnson, former Broncos linebacker. In 2020, when Vic Fangio was there, he started 16 games. He recorded 124 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, 5 quarterback hits, and 2 forced fumbles. He has dealt with injuries over the past 2 seasons, but he definitely had his best year with Vic Fangio. So we'll have to see what happens. That'll be interesting. I'd like to see how that works out for them.
Yeah, I'm in the same book. I mean, it's death. But yeah, with the Jonathan Taylor situation. Somebody said it on Twitter, and it made me realize that's a good point. Jonathan Taylor went to go seek trades for himself. And I'm sure when he went to do that, deals were worked out. Like, if I get traded here, are you willing to pay me this amount of money? And now that we know that the Dolphins are offering trades and they're back and forth in discussions, wouldn't that mean that we already have a deal in place for Jonathan Taylor?
I think that there's a deal on. So I can't sit here and say I can't with 100% of doubt say that there's probably not an offer on the table when there's so many rumors from people. And, Barry Jackson, I think, has reported it. A couple of other beat writers, some guys from the national media say the Dolphins have at least or allegedly have an offer on the table to them. But we've heard this before in this offseason. Look, here's the thing. I totally get he's 24 years old. He's young. He's only been in the league 3 years. He's got a lot of upside. He's different from any other available running back that's been there this offseason because of his age and his youth and what he's already done in the 3 years he's been in the league. I get that. But the Dolphins have been linked to trades and free agent signings to other running backs this year, and they have not pulled the trigger on it.
Oh,
so
no.
Why all of a sudden now is that going to change with Jonathan Taylor?
That wasn't
the obvious.
That wasn't my point. I'm talking about a contract deal is in place.
I think I don't. In my opinion, there is no way you make a trade for Jonathan Taylor without having the conversation of a contract extension with him. It'd be stupid to not do it.
Right. Exactly. So, like how.
You're breaking up, Rashad. You broke up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up, buddy. God, got that to a cell service, Rashad.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. I was pretty much saying, talking compensation if he doesn't sign. He went out to find teams then for a deal that he would play under, offering or putting offers out there. That means that Jonathan Taylor have pretty much said, yeah, let's just get you here.
Well, I mean, part of the Colts saying, "Hey, look, you are more than welcome to go find your own trade. You can go seek your own trade." Yes, it's probably to a certain extent of, can you find a better deal than what we currently have on the table? Because the GM, which by the way tells me a lot about how bad their GM situation is. When teams, unless you are Aaron Rodgers or Tyreek Hill or whoever, and I'm not saying Jonathan Taylor isn't on, he's only been in the league 3 years. It's tough for me to say, hey, look, you as a GM should do what's best for your franchise. You have a disgruntled player who does not want to play for you now. He said as much. Okay. And now you can't tell me as a GM you haven't at least made phone calls to teams to say, hey, look, are you interested? Would you want to do this? Would you want to do that? What is the point of allowing the player to go do that? If nothing other than the player might be able to convince the team, hey, look, maybe we'll up a little bit more because he wants to come play. It's a different scenario when the player is telling the team directly, hey, I want to come play for you, and I'm willing to do X, Y, and Z. So just step up your offer just a little bit more so that I can come do this. Rather than a GM versus a GM who are playing a game of chicken with each other and trying to see who's going to get caught with their pants down more. Basically. Otherwise, there's no reason for the player to be negotiating a deal on behalf of the team. There's none.
100%.
There's none. So, and NFL's lit is right. It sounds like the Dalvin Cook situation. Low key, it does. I don't see it happening. I would love for it to happen. I like Michael Vila said this morning at the beginning of the show this morning. My head is telling me don't do it. But my heart is telling me, man, you make this trade, the Dolphins are going to be, who's going to stop them? Who's going to stop them?
I'm eager. I like and
Flipside Fishing says, if Miami keeps kicking the tires on all these running backs, that should tell you they're looking for an upgrade at running back. If they weren't interested, they wouldn't be in the market. So if somebody, what's the joke? Cat Williams says, if somebody calls you a crackhead for 20 years, you're a crackhead, right? Same kind of, thing here. If somebody for 3 months has said that they are looking out for a running back, or that they're, tried to trade for DJ Swift, or tried to trade for Saquon Barkley, or tried to trade for Dalvin Cook, or tried to sign Dalvin Cook, tried to trade for Josh Jacobs, odds are you guys are trying to find another running back to add to your room. I get it. I understand it. But in my opinion, Saquon Barkley, DJ Swift, Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, who are still both available, mind you, in the free agency market. If you clearly wanted to upgrade your running back room, you could have already done it.
Yeah.
So they have not done it yet. So here's the funny part. If Miami does pull that off, okay, then they look like geniuses. But they had no idea that Jonathan Taylor was gonna come to this extreme yet. Do you think? My question is: do you think they let go of? Do you think they let Dalvin Cook walk because they knew Jonathan Taylor was going to be available a week later? No, they didn't know that. They didn't pursue Dalvin Cook because they weren't willing to go up to the money that Dalvin Cook wanted. They had a budget. They were only willing to go so much, and they said, "Hey, look, this is what it is." They have pulled the trigger on a running back yet. Why do we think that they're going to pull it on Jonathan Taylor?
Because a running back who just hit his prime. Like, he's current. Like, he was still raw. And, like, you can say now he's in his prime. It's a running back with 3 years on his belt. or 3.5, however you want to look at it, because he was hurt. He injured to play at the end of the season last year. And yeah, this doesn't happen often. You don't have top 3 to 5 running back available at this age.
Level 2 noob, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I can't be fooled again. I'm not falling for it, Level. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, all I have to say. Like, I feel like the deal is in place. I'm eager to find out
You
if
think
we
a
don't.
deal is in place already?
For a contract is in place for Jonathan. If the deal doesn't get done, I'm eager to see more versus what we offer. Because for a first round pick, and me, I hate Greer. I am so willing to get off of that first round pick. But you want to draft in the first round. It's a huge asset. What are we drafting in the late 20s, most likely 32, if we have Jonathan Taylor? That's Jonathan Taylor. What? We're going to get the 6th best tackle in the draft, the number 3 tight end in the draft, because tight ends are coming off the board early. And, like, what do we need? What's the position of need that we need right now that we're going to draft late?
Offensive line.
No. I'm not comfortable drafting the. It doesn't work out. If tackle, it doesn't work out for us. We don't know how to draft linemen.
The link is pinned to the top of the page, guys. If you guys want to get on with your final thoughts or ask a question or give your thoughts, get up here. Come on, let's go. Go ahead, man. Wrap up your thought. I apologize, man.
That is all. That is all. Like, I'm asking for a first round pick. I understand there's no other bidders bidding against ourselves, but don't burn. That's like someone saying, well, nobody wants, we have a 4 for you because he's injury prone. Nobody wants. It's just that's Taylor. I understand that the market is down and all of that. He's still at a very young age. He's a top 5. That's me being generous.
I hear you. All right, Rashad, I love you, brother. Be good, man.
Yep.
And get better cell service. Your cell service is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Manny, what's up, Manny? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. What's up now, noob? How you gonna time me out now, noob? I'm actually on the show. Nerd.
Yeah.
Go make some more memes. Go make some more memes, bro. Like, seriously, you're the most uninteresting guy. Your jokes aren't funny. You know what I'm saying? What
are you talking about, Manny?
Noob, level 2 noob, bro. He's there.
Are you getting after level 2 noob, Manny?
Yeah, bro. He's a clown.
Right now, that doesn't. I'm just letting you know that normally does not work out for people.
It's okay. He can make all the memes he wants, bro. I'm not even on Twitter. It's not gonna hurt my feelings.
Manny, I've warned you. Like, I'm just saying.
Go ahead. He could do everything he wants, bro. He's got screenshots of me. He could do whatever little memes he wants, bro. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. He tried to time me out, and now I'm on the show. So let's just talk. You know how y'all, you know, Big O kind of was echoing everything I was saying these past couple of days.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm ready.
He basically is just saying that we're not gonna give these guys massive deals. We're always interested in upgrading our team. We're shopping around. Just because we're checking if we could upgrade our team doesn't mean that we want to replace our guys. Yeah, and I believe Chris Greer has said that before. Mike McDaniel said that before. Even Brian Flores said that. We're always going to be in the market for every player that's available, just to see if the price is right. If it's not, then they could kick rocks. Like Dalvin Cook, go to the Jets, bro. He tried to use us as leverage, saying he wants to come to Miami just so he could hike up the price on us or on somebody else, because we wasn't falling for that. We're not the team to do that.
No, but I do think that the Dolphins want to upgrade at running back, but on their own at their own comfort level.
That's what
they
I'm
willing
saying.
to do that.
They want to
And-
upgrade everybody.
But to be fair, Manny, this is where I kind of have a little, I guess, beef with the Dolphins per se, is if you want to upgrade a position because you know that it would make you better and you are stuck on a particular number, but every person that comes up at the position that's a better value than what you currently have, you keep on inquiring about. I mean, there's going to come a point where you got to realize
it's not better value, maybe better talent, but definitely not better value than what we got.
I mean,
because it's all about value.
Jonathan Taylor is much better value and much better talent.
No,
than
better
anything.
talent, but it's the values, Steve. When you say value, it's not worth the trade and pay.
All right. So you know the question that I've been asking: what's the difference between Jonathan Taylor and everybody else? All right. Well, I mean, and I've said it. The difference is he's 24 years old. He's only been in the league 3 years. There's so many things to like about the kid compared to other running backs that have been available over the last couple of months, several weeks. And to kind of answer my own question in having the discussion with you, Manny, I would say that the Dolphins have to be willing to come up more than what they have, because unlike Josh Jacobs, unlike Dalvin Cook, unlike DJ Swift or whoever, like Jonathan Taylor is probably a top 10 player in the league. And it's not even debatable.
Okay, yeah, maybe top 5. He could be the best in the league, but it's not. It doesn't mean that we're willing to go. It doesn't mean that we're willing to go up on that price.
Yeah, but why? But so my question is, if a top 10 player, we've said many years on the show, and the fan base has, that if you have an opportunity to get a player that's top 10 in the league, you should take that. And the Dolphins clearly have had plenty of opportunities to go get some top-tier players in this league over the last several years, and they have not done it anytime except for Tyreek Hill.
It's that, Steve. You got an opportunity to get every guy if you're willing to give up everything for him. You could go out and get everybody if you can, but it doesn't work like that, Steve. You can't just go out and get everybody at the top price. Let's just get the top paid at every position on our team. Every 11 guys, let's make them all the top paid guys. Doesn't work like that. We can't just go out and do that, especially for a position that's not
hear
valuable.
you, but if he's there and you know that he can make you automatically, he is there. He is available.
Up for trade, and there's a reason why the Colts don't want to pay him, because it's not worth the value that he wants.
I disagree with that. The Colts don't want to pay him because the Colts are stupid, and they're in the. And to be fair, the Colts are rebuilding. They're not going to be a Super Bowl contender for another 2 to 3 years. Minimum.
If you're rebuilding, why not rebuild against a top running back?
Because running backs have a short shelf life anyway. So if I give, check it out, if I give Jonathan Taylor a 3 to 4 year deal at, let's say, $16 million a year, $15 million a year, $14 million a year, right? Whatever it would be. Why would the Colts do that when they can go spend that money on something else? Because they're not going to be a contender for the next 3 years. Trade Jonathan Martin, get the value for him, pay other levels, or pay that money that you would pay on Jonathan to other positions that you can try to set a foundation for your franchise.
So reword all of that, and instead of saying the Colts, say the Dolphins. Why are we gonna? We got, which we don't even have money like that. We still need to pay our guys. Why would we go out and spend money on a position that's not value? It's not a value position. There's a reason why
Jonathan Taylor's the exception to the rule, Manny.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's what they were saying about Dalvin Cook.
We were saying that about Dalvin because we wanted Dalvin.
We just want to run back.
Jonathan Taylor is clear by far and away better than Dalvin Cook, and it's not even close.
I mean, yeah, you could say that, but again, it's all about the price, Steve. But Chris Greer's not budging on that price because it's not valued like that. We're good already, anyways. We're good because if it was that important, like it was with Tyreek, he would go out and do it. Tyreek was important. We needed that piece. If we lose Tyreek, we're going to be in a tough spot this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Level 2 Noob says nothing I said was accurate. Whatever, Level 2 Noob. Whatever, man. All right, man. I got a couple people in the back room, Manny. I'm going to let you go, brother.
All right, peace out, bro.
All right, man. Be easy. What do you want? Huh?
Enough of the comedy hour with Manny. What are we doing here?
What do you want, man? B-Show, you were in the back. Get back up here, B-Show. I was going to bring you on. Lewis, what do you want?
I just wanted to come in here and tell you you're wrong, Steven.
I'm not wrong.
Yes, you were wrong. Chris Greer, the reason we didn't move off of Dalvin and we never made another offer, and the reports are we went ghost when he was calling the do you think Chris Greer just found out 2-3 days ago that Jonathan Taylor, or a week ago when the news broke that Jonathan Taylor wanted to be out? Is that what you think, Steven?
I think, are you asking me about Jonathan Taylor, or are you asking me about Dalvin Cook?
I'm asking you, do you think when we all found out, right, or some of us found out that Jonathan Taylor wanted out of Indy, you think that's when Chris Greer found out, or do you think he's known about this for multiple weeks? Do you think he's been working on this for multiple weeks?
So I said, if you heard me earlier, I said it's probably a fact that the GM of the Colts went to and called multiple GMs to say, hey, look, this Jonathan Taylor situation is not working out for us. Are you interested? Now, they couldn't get the price that they wanted to begin with when that probably occurred. So they're playing the card that if I have the players seek out the teams, maybe they'll be more inclined to up their offer because they had a great conversation or a great, they just fell in love with him in talking with him directly. So that's the card that they're playing now. So, yes, I do think that Greer's had a conversation and probably, been on this for a couple of weeks now. But do I think that they missed out on Dalvin Cook because they were waiting for the Jonathan Taylor thing to come? No, there was no guarantee about the Jonathan Taylor situation. So they didn't go up. So. They didn't go up on Dalvin because they were going to be. I said from day one, I was like, they're not going to pay more than what they've offered from the first. Like, they're just not. They have a budget. They're willing to pay him this amount of money. If he wants more, he's going to get it from another team. It's not going to be from Miami. I said that from day one, and that's exactly what happened. And
why do you think they're willing to pay Jonathan Taylor more?
What people are trying to tell me, which is that he's 24 years old. He's been in the league 3 years, and look at what he's accomplished. And the upside to him is, he could easily be the best running back in this league in the next year, maybe 2 years. He's already up there as one of the top 3 running backs, maybe top 2 running backs. But if he has a season like he had a couple of years ago before his injury, come on, man. He easily could be top 10 player. I think he already is a top 10 player in this league, personally.
Oh, okay. And I'm glad you said that, Steven, because everybody keeps telling me, well, he's a top 3 running back. He's a top 5, top 10 running. Bro, he's a top 10 player.
He's a top 10 player. He's a top 2 running back. Top 2 or 3.
Well, I could care less about the top. He could be top 1 runner. The fact of the matter is,
if I had to guess, Saquon Barkley's in that conversation. Derrick Henry's in that conversation.
No. Saquon ain't better than Jonathan Taylor.
No, I said he's in the conversation. And I guess maybe Christian McCaffrey's in there too, but I would take Jonathan Taylor over all those guys.
Absolutely.
Twice on
and that's the point. That's why Chris Greer would make a move like this. That's why Miami would be willing to pay a running back like this, because again, he's a top 10 player in the league. There's 53 men that make a roster. There's 32 teams. I'm not real good at math off the top of my head like that, but I'm assuming that's a lot of damn players. He's a top 10 player, Steven. I don't know what Chris Greer is holding. What are we waiting for? Make it happen. I could care less who you got to give up in this trade, what the draft picks look like.
Do you really? So if Christian Wilkins is the cost, do you care?
He's gone. Absolutely not. He's gone. It's not even close. Again, Steven, for the next 5 years, are you trying to build the Miami Dolphins around Christian Wilkins, or are you trying to build them around Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, and Jonathan Taylor?
Here's my problem with that, bro. Is at least with the Christian Wilkins, okay, not with too many other people. Christian Wilkins is a leader in that clubhouse. Christian Wilkins is one of the reasons, not the only reason, one of the reasons that Fangio came. If you were to trade him, you take the chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying you take the chance of alienating that defensive locker room. Hell, the locker room in general, not just the defensive side, because he's so liked among the players. They love him. They love having him.
Do you think he would be the first player in NFL history that a locker room like that got
wouldn't
traded?
be. No, he wouldn't be.
So do you think we have a replacement in that locker room that can be the leader and the face of the team and the face of that defense? Do you believe that guy's already on the roster? Like if Christian Wilkins wasn't here, give me some names that you believe could assume that role.
The leader role in the defensive side?
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb,
Maybe
Jalen
Javon
Phillips,
Holland.
Javon Holland.
So what are we talking about, Steven? This is what I'm saying. Like
Xavier Howard.
Okay, there you go. So what are we talking
Jalen
about?
Ramsey.
Exactly. So we make it seem like, oh my God,
I
what are
never
we going to
said
do
that
without
the
Christian
defense
Wilkins?
would fall apart. I'm saying you take the chance of them saying of alienating them, and then you could risk losing the locker. It's a very small chance, but even it doesn't matter if it's a small chance. It's a chance, period. Why risk it? Now, if you want to trade for Jonathan Taylor, great, go do it. But I don't think it should come at the expense of Wilkins.
I'm not holding any player on this roster. I think there's
You
about
think
4
every
to 5
single player
guys.
on this roster?
No, there's about 4 to 5 guys, Steven.
Who would you not trade for Jonathan Taylor?
Tua Tagovailoa, Javon Holland, Jalen Phillips, Jalen Waddle.
Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill can go. I mean, I said this the other day. Steven, Tyreek Hill's here for another 2 years. Steven, he's here for another 2 years. Again, I'm going to pose this question to everybody that tries to debate me from now on. Are you building your team around Tyreek Hill, or are you building around Jonathan Taylor? Like Tyreek already told everybody in 2 years he's out of here. He's retiring. So now I'm going to miss out on a 23-year-old turning 24 beast of a running back to hold on to Tyreek for another year and a half, 2 years? Like, what, bro, that doesn't even make sense.
I hear your point of view. And I
Anybody's
think
gone.
Let's be honest. There's no way that Tyreek would be involved in that trade. But
I agreed. I agree with that.
I like that you said Tua. I do appreciate that.
Bro, because I'm trying to build. That's the core, Steven.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, look, Tyreek is going to be here. We all agree. I said the other day that I believe you go get Jonathan Taylor with Waddle.
B-Show, I'm sorry, man. B-Show, come back in one more time. I'll bring you on with Lewis. I was having a good conversation with Lewis.
Yeah, bring B-Show. He told me I was great yesterday, so bring him up.
All right, B-Show mad because he had to wait twice in the back, and I did have him waiting that second time for a minute. My bad, bro. My bad, B-Show. Don't be mad. I'm sitting here trying to bring in people back and forth. It's tough being a host, man. You got to worry about who you're making mad, look, B-Show, just get up here. We want to hear from you. Hey, you're old, right?
What do you mean old?
You're old.
I don't like how that's coming off, Steven.
Well, I'll bring it up in a second because B-Show's in the back. B-Show, man, my bad, bro. My bad.
Damn, you had me waiting for a minute. Twice.
My bad, bro. Look, my bad. My bad.
It's all good, bro. I'm literally torn on this Jonathan Taylor situation. I know I get both sides. Some people believe, or most people believe, he's an extraordinary talent. We could run the rock, hand the ball off to him. If he fits McDaniel's system, it's perfect. We could restructure and make room for him and Wilkins. We don't really have to lose both, but if we do get him, we do have to, we lose some people. So giving up a first would be tough because it is a great O-line class coming out this year. I mean, it's only projections, but there's some bad boys coming out. So I don't want to lose that first. I'll give up a second, fourth, and maybe get rid of a contract.
I'll be honest with you. I don't even want to give up a second. Like my dream is to a third and a fifth.
Yeah.
If I could get if I can get Jonathan Taylor for a third and a fifth, sign me up.
Well,
Where do
there's
I
a
go?
reason why we came to a
Honestly,
third.
my dream scenario would be a third and a fifth and Cedric Wilson. Have a nice day.
I mean, wake me up and you'll be
Bro,
in heaven.
if that
But
were to happen, that would go down as the second best trade in
we'd
the
all
history
be happy
of the
about
draft.
that. We'd all be
Y'all
happy about that.
realize scary money don't make money, right?
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, you're right.
Y'all ever heard that? Y'all talking about trading a third and talking about draft picks and man, please, have y'all lost y'all's mind?
Look,
What is wrong with y'all?
let's get something straight. There's probably no, at least I can't speak for B Show. I know there's no way that is ever going to happen. I get it. I'm just telling you it would be amazing if it did.
Yeah. So what can happen, and I think you guys are with me here, is we could give up, like a second and fourth. I mean, if we give up a first, I need a third back. So we would have a second and a third like this year, and it worked out well for us this year. But there's some bad boys coming out of that O-line class, and you lose all, that kind of puts like a light on the season if you don't have a first. Like,
when was the last time Chris Greer drafted a good old lineman? I'll wait.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, I'd be willing to,
real quick, just
money.
Just as a side note, because we're talking about running back. Joe, P-Show, what are you doing, man? Joe Shad just tweeted this. You ready? He said, it's only preseason, but this seems relevant. Miami was 17th in the NFL in preseason rushing yards per game last year. This year, the Dolphins are second in the NFL in preseason rushing yards per game in 2023. I don't know what that means or what it's worth or if it's worth anything at all, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, we
don't
don't
want to throw that out there.
I think the Colts are playing hardball. Like, they want it first, and they're going to wait till that Tuesday-ish, deadline and stuff like that. But as Dolphin fans, Teron Armstead's getting older. Like Lewis said, Tyreek only has a couple years. I mean, we got to have our eyes on the future, but it's attack mode now. And Jonathan Taylor makes this team much better for the next 2 years at least. And
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right.
And we're getting older, but we're also young, so we got to have our eyes on the future. But, you can always fifth your option and then extend later and then make that cap hit low for 2026 or 2025 for, Waddle and Phillips. You could spread the money out down the road a little bit more for the true young guys and the true guys that are going to be here. I think you can make it work. You might lose a couple guys on the O-line, maybe Sealer, but you got to keep that first.
No, you're losing Christian Wilkins. Why would you pay Christian Wilkins $20+ million? That's the guy we all should be wanting to lose. I'm sorry, I have to be I always got to play the bad guy. People want to hate me all the time, and I get it. And listen, maybe I was built for that. What are you talking about? Christian Wilkins is the guy we need to lose.
Yeah.
No one's building around a D tackle, bro. Like, what are we talking about? This is not 1990.
But Lewis, if I can keep him this year,
I'm keeping him this year. Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to keep him this year because I think he could make help us.
Absolutely,
he's a core piece. He's a core piece. He's just asking for too much money right now. That we think
he's asking for too much money for us. He's not. It's not too much money according to his position and his skill level.
Yes, it is. According to the sacks, it is.
Not with the last 4 contracts that I have just seen from his position of his peers.
Go tell me the sack numbers of those guys.
Would you rather keep Sealer and Hunt or Wilkins?
Would I rather keep who?
Sealer and Hunt or Wilkins?
I'd rather keep Sealer and Hunt.
Because that's what it might come down to. Everybody's saying Jonathan Taylor or Wilkins, but it's really a couple of guys or Wilkins or a couple of guys, Connor Williams and Sealer or Wilkins or Raekwon Davis.
If you're telling me I could have Jonathan Taylor, Seiler, and Hunt, absolutely, bro. That's not even a question.
Yeah, we need depth. We need to be smart. But I love Wilkins. Honestly, I want him to get his bag.
We all love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all love him. But Steven wants to bring up the last four. Bro, me, Cap, El Capitan, shout out to the boys at the Fans Tailgate. He did a whole show on it. And the top 10 guys at that, you can boo all you want.
Boo, those Fins Tailgate fellas. Boo.
Hey, like I said, don't argue with me, argue with your mama. The NFL is telling argue with your mama, right? The NFL, the league executive, the people that are handing out that contract, right? The guys at that position that are getting paid, they're coming with sacks. All I know, we went through a list, and there's about, I think it was like 5 to 6 players that have more sacks in a single season than Christian Wilkins does in his entire career.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, Wilkins makes splash plays in the run game. I love it. If we lose him, we're going to feel it. But I think we got to keep him. But he can't be at 22, 23. It has to be at like 19, 20. He's worth that, Lewis.
It has to be 17, 18.
Yeah, I feel you. Yo, it's Steven. My bad for stirring the pot yesterday and then leaving.
Yeah, bro. You came in, dropped an atomic bomb, and then left.
All I said was
and you were mad because you had to wait in the back room for two times. Calm down,
Show. You got me. But
all right, brother. I appreciate you coming on, B Show. You're the man,
problem.
brother.
No problem. I'll be back one of these days.
I know you will. Don't be a stranger,
brother.
man.
Thank you.
Oh, that guy's pretty awesome. I like that guy. I like that there fella, Lewis. I like that fella there.
I like B Show, man. He's a good dude, man.
B Show sounds like, he a good dude. He a good dude. All right. The reason that I asked that about your you being old is do you think you could run a 40 against a retired NFL player, 40-yard dash?
Do I think I could run a 40-yard dash?
Do you think you could run against a former NFL player in a 40-yard dash? And do you think you could?
Or you mean in the form of an NFL player like Vince Wilfork?
A
guy like that?
Former running back in the NFL. Do you think you could beat that?
Well, depending on what's their age. Maybe a running back from the 1970s I could probably get.
We're talking Stephen Ridley.
Stephen Ridley. Steven Jackson, you mean?
No, Stephen Ridley, the former running back of the Patriots.
Oh, the Patriots. Oh, no, probably not. I can't do
But
that.
you thought about it. But you thought about it just now. Well, you know who else thought about it? Kevin Hart did. And this is Kevin Hart talking about him racing Stephen Ridley in a 40-yard dash.
Yep. Well, you know it's going to be bad. Anytime somebody starts off by saying, well, it's bad. Ladies and gentlemen, the age 40 is real. To all my men, women out there that are 40 years old and above, it's not a game. Respect that age. Respect that age. Or that age will make you respect it. I was just forced to respect it. This is just a public service announcement because I know people may see me out. And I don't want you to be alarmed, but I'm in a wheelchair. Yeah. I'm in a wheelchair. Why? Well, because I tried to jump out there and do some young stuff. Tried to go out there and do some young man stuff, and I was told to sit my ass down. Shouts out to Stephen Wiley. I'm going to put this story out there before you do. Me and Stephen, we got into a little debate. This debate was based off of who was faster. Those that know me know I'm pretty fast. Stephen said, Kev, ain't no way you're going to beat me. Stephen is an ex-NFL running back, played for New England Patriots. Very good guy. I said, Steve, you can bet it. He said, bet. I said, bet. We get out there. We go run the 40-yard dash. 40-yard dash. Guys, I blew all my shit. Tore my lower abdomen, my abductors. You know what that is, but I tore them. I tore those two. I can't walk. Sit my ass down. This is 44. Tell you what you just lost, son. You just lost every opportunity of me going to racing you anytime soon. It's over. Kenneth, it's over. Sit down. What are we competing for at this age? Why are we like, what am I doing? Why did I even race? Stupidest shit ever. Now I can't walk because I'm somewhere trying to get the title of the fastest nigga at the barbecue. What? was I thinking, son? God, got to be the stupidest man alive. It is what it is, man. This is life. I'm out. I got about 6 to 8. I blew my shit. Well,
that is hilarious.
He said, I blew my shit. Yo, I saw this, bro, and I was dying, just crying, laughing. He said, I blew my adductors. I don't even know what an adductor is, but I blew it. I said, what? Oh my goodness. He said, what am I trying to be, the fastest dude at a barbecue? What am I doing this for? Boy, I about died. I know some people don't like Kevin Hart, but man, he is hilarious to me. I like his stuff, man. But I was wondering if you thought you could beat Stephen Ridley in a 40-yard dash.
No. I'm not going to go on that ledge and say I could.
Okay.
I'm not. Hey, real quick, Stephen, what did you think about the Isaiah Simmons getting traded for a 7th-round pick?
I think it's disrespectful to Isaiah Simmons, and I hope he plays the Cardinals this year. I don't know if they play each other this year, but if they do, oh, that's going to be a game to watch, because I say Isaiah Simmons better. You trade the 8th overall pick in the draft, and you traded me for a 7th-round pick.
I know, bro. That's ridiculous. What do you think? Do you think the only reason I posed that question for a 7th round? Do you think Miami should have made at least an inquiry about a guy like Isaiah?
I don't know. Do we know if we knew he was available?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
And to be honest, they did just sign somebody. Look, I'm not questioning. I am not questioning anything that Vic Fangio says. Hey, Joe Shad says Dolphins for some reason, and he corrected himself in a future tweet, have the 4th best odds to trade for Trey Lance. They are really on every trade betting odds list. Every player in the NFL that is currently on the trade block or has a rumor of trades, the Dolphins in Vegas are a favorite somewhere. Like, not the favorite, but they are a favorite somewhere. That's hilarious, Lewis. They are literally tied to every player available on a trade, Lewis.
Well, if we trade for Trey Lance, which quarterback goes in the room?
Skyler, of course, but we're not getting Trey Lance. Let's just throw it out.
You're a hater, Steven.
I am.
Skyler hate is real.
Yep. Skynet's going down, baby. It's going down.
Don't make me go get Pete in here.
Ain't worried about no Pete. You think I'm worried about Pete? I ain't worried about no Pete. What is your final thought of the day, sir?
Nothing. I don't have a final thought. I just came up here, do what I do, regulate real quick, and get out. I just had to come and correct you. And everybody have a good day, man. Spread positivity, kindness, positivity, and love across the world. That's my final thought.
Kindness, that's my saying. You can't steal my saying, dude.
You've been stealing that's cat for I don't know how many weeks now, Steven.
No, but I say it as you,
And I'm saying spread positivity, kindness, and love because of you, Steven.
Boy, look at this throw from Tua to River Craycraft. Look at this throw. Tua to River Craycraft. On the money, feet inbounds. Let's go.
The man had to dive 7 feet out of bounds, Steven. What are you talking about?
Put his toes in, Lewis. Level 2 Dupe says, I owe you some licensing fees now.
Hey, get them Level 2 Noob. I would agree with that.
I would not at all. All right, tomorrow is Spread Kindness Friday. Jason Sarney's going to be on with me. We're going to have a good time. I'm sure we're going to get ready for the Dolphins work out former Colts defensive tackle Jamal Woods per league source. Jamel Woods working out for the Dolphins, former Indianapolis Colts defensive tackle. Dolphins are definitely looking at people. They are definitely looking at people.
We brought him in to get intel on Jonathan Taylor. That's all it is.
Maybe that's you think that's what it is?
That's exactly what it is. Come in here, work out, give us a quick update on Jonathan Taylor, and we're gonna send you out of here.
Man, tell me what can you tell me about Jonathan Taylor, man? You know.
Exactly.
All right, man. I gotta go. I love you, brother. Be good, man.
Peace, Steven. Later.
Bye. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. If you guys enjoyed the show today, donate to the channel, hit the like button, share the link, let people know about this amazing show. I love you guys. You guys are the best fans in the world. I don't care what anybody says. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Special thanks to Mike Ovila of Dolphins Talk for coming on earlier, Cameron954 for being my co-host for most of the morning of East32 Dolphins Tailgate. And a big shout out to Jason Sarney and the Big O of the Big O Show doing that awesome and amazing Dolphin chat that you can go look up on the channel on its own. And I want to thank most importantly you, the fans. You guys are everything. Without you guys, wouldn't have a show. So thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow, Spread Kindness Friday. Always remember to spread kindness, positivity, and love. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Peace.
I don't know when, but it's close. I don't want to overhype, but I just know I like it. So excited. League gon' notice now. You should notarize it. They say two are from that rock. Shout out to Samoa and now it's time to lay the smack down. You think you Dwayne Johnson. Time to be the people's champ. Hit them with the people's elbows. Sit together like it's Velcro. You think you could stop us?